You're watching Suck Professor. Hello, everybody. It's me, Hank. I'm joined by
James,
the resident Twin Peaks expert and connoisseur.
Nope.
Doesn't agree with it. That's how much he is an expert at Twin Peaks. He thinks he doesn't know anything. And that is the only way to know anything about Twin Peaks, is to admit you know nothing. Welcome to the channel, everybody. It's me, Hank, joined by my best friend, James. Neither of us believe that we're you know someone's really your best friend when they laugh at the notion.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming to our channel, everybody. Like, subscribe, and we're going to talk about this part 7 here. This is a big one. Very eventful.
Big episode.
Big episode. I think I know why, but I don't really know why. I never have any confidence with anything I feel about the show. Feel or think. I can't. That's what the show feels like. I'm watching a magic trick by a magician from a different planet. So it's like, oh, he's doing optical illusions, except his reality is completely disjointed and ungrounded, although somehow slightly similar to mine, right?
Sure.
Makes sense?
Absolutely.
Thanks, lover. Can I touch your knee?
No.
Is it worse to have my hand hovering over your knee?
That is more disconcerting.
It is violating to have someone hovering over your knee.
It's like what would be so bad was a knife pressed against your throat, but when it's hovering right there.
Yeah, just barely
it's
about
a little bit worse.
Yeah. Okay. So all right. That's side note, everybody. If you want to fuck with your friends, hover over their knee with your hands.
Just hover over them as they sleep.
Not that I'm big in public displays of affection. Or private. Honestly, these days can't get anybody to say yes. All right. So let's do it. Here we go. All right, opening shot. It's the famous Laura Palmer opacity effect. Whoa, there's your face.
Get a little bit of lens flare.
A little lens flare. That's sort of that, kind of that, the moon will look like that sometimes at night, a little bit. Got that halo thing going on with the light. All right, so then it goes black screen, and all of a sudden we've got old man Weed Face. Old pot smoking.
Also known as Jerry Horne. Brother of Benjamin Horne.
Old Toke Lips.
Yes.
Old, the devil's weed connoisseur, but he's glancing around the
So one thing I want to
here.
say about this episode right off the bat is that it has a lot of iconography for the Ghost Woods forest. It goes back to the woods on multiple occasions, and I think there's a very good reason for why it does that, which leads into a theory I have a little bit later on. But always remember, this episode for me, the through line is the Ghost Woods.
The Ghost Woods. So that's where he is right now, I assume.
Yes,
yeah?
I assume so. That's basically the forest that surrounds Twin Peaks, as far as I understand. I could be wrong.
This guy lives at the lodge. Or no. Sorry, I know. Well, I call it, but it's a resort in the woods.
The Great Northern Hotel.
The hotel. But
I assume he lives there.
Those are called lodges here on Earth. By the way,
his brother owns it, so I don't know for a fact that he lives there, but one can readily assume that he probably does.
Well, we've only previously seen him where he was he had an edible or something, and he was hanging out with his brother, or he was smoked, but he was eating peanut butter jelly, and he was. But he's a stoner guy, but he's also a businessman. Apparently, he grows the weed. And
yeah, but it seems like he uses his own stash.
Yes.
Hey, Ben and Jerry.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I know. That was. I made sure I got that screenshot. So, anyways, he calls his brother on his phone, and which is how you call your brother. Well, I guess you could just scream their name. And Jerry, what's going on? Someone stole my car.
He's actually calling David Letterman.
Yeah. Am I supposed to? Because he looks like
in certain shots, he looks like an older
retired
Letterman.
David Letterman. Yeah. When it's like someone took the video game slider dial and just like moved the beard up all the way. And his brother's just like, "Where are you? What are you doing?" And he's like, just starts screaming like, "I don't know where I am. I'm really high."
But you notice he also says that someone stole his car, which kind of is like a precursor to something else that happens a little bit later on in the episode. So it makes me wonder if he has somehow gotten so high that he's tapped into some spiritual energy and now he's seeing the world through someone else's perspective.
Well, maybe, or just sort of feeding on the undercurrents of the pink rivers of ooze that flow beneath everything.
Yeah, I don't want to say it yet, but it seems like this seems like a nonsensical scene, but I feel like there's a parallel to it later on that gives some deeper meaning to it.
Sure. I mean, there's a pretty simple metaphor there in being lost in the woods. We all know that feeling of being terrified. I mean, there's really two scary ways to be lost. Lost in a crowd and then lost in the woods.
Which is just a crowd of trees.
A crowd is a crowd of trees. That's funny. A crowd is you're surrounded by a whole bunch of intelligent, violent gorillas.
Well, I
which is like
intelligent.
Human. Well, not all of us are, but we're smarter than the gorillas. But we're gorillas, so we're just big freaky monsters. That's why people are scary, because they're violent and nuts. I don't mean they're all violent. I just mean that people are terrifying. That's all I'm saying. Trees, Unless they fall over. You ever been near a tree that fell over?
Yes.
Out of nowhere? Scary as fuck, man.
Well, it fell out of the earth. It didn't fall out of nowhere.
Right, but like it
It
suddenly
didn't emerge
fell.
from the lodge and just fall.
Usually you find, with a cactus on its head or a cantaloupe, usually you find a tree fallen already, but when you're there for the moment it falls. It's a terrifying thing. I saw it happen once. I was like, holy shit!
Yeah, it's a pretty big thing.
It's almost like if a giant, several thousand-pound piece of wood fell over. All right, so Twin Peaks Sheriff's Department. Oh wait, hold on. All right, so Twin Peaks, real quick. I want people that are new here to know that it was kind of like a rambly podcast, more for me at least.
A little bit. Yeah.
James is the one with the insights. I try to help out with that too, but I don't really. I can't. All right, so anyway, we're at the Twin Peaks Sheriff's Department, and we've got.
So Hawk is analyzing the pages that were found in the bathroom stall door. That was the solution to the riddle that was told to him by the log lady in the first episode of season 3, saying something is missing. It involves Agent Dale Cooper, and it relates to your heritage. And we theorize that the pages were the pages from Laura Palmer's diary, which were ripped out and missing from evidence originally.
Yes.
But we also theorize that these pages contained the phrase, "My name is Annie, I've been with Dale and Laura, the good Dale is in the lodge and he can't leave, write it in your diary," which we saw Annie tell Laura through some weird time vortex in her bed in Fire Walk With Me, warning her about what was to befall Agent Dale Cooper, even though he had not even yet come to Twin Peaks because he only comes there as a result of Laura Palmer's death.
Okay, right.
So it's exactly what we thought it was going to be. So,
woohoo. Thanks for including everybody in the we that you're using, but I would reject it and say you figured that out. I had nothing to do with it. I'm like the dad in this situation. You're the mom. You gave the birth. I just squirted seed into your seed hole.
That doesn't make it weird.
So I'm just saying, don't include me in that. You deserve the credit for it. It's my
Okay.
good call, because you did nail it. This is what was written, and we did show those screenshots on the last episode from those other episodes.
We even show the video.
Yeah, we showed the video of Annie in the bed, all bloodied up. All right, so there it is.
You know what Laura said?
No.
She looked over and said, "Annie, are you okay?
Annie,
are you okay?
Are you okay,
Annie?"
Okay. Isn't that song?
What?
Alien Ant Farm, where he goes, "Wah, wah."
It's Michael Jackson.
Yeah, but Alien Ant Farm did a cover of it.
I don't know who they are.
But they're a fucking band that gets famous off of a cover.
Okay.
It's a very popular cover, as far as I know. I'm sure they have other songs, but it's like that was their thing. It's like if I got suddenly famous because I wrote a song called Blackbird by the Beatles and called it that. This is my new song, Blackbird by the Beatles. All right.
Okay.
I can play that on guitar, by the way. Wink, ladies.
Nice.
Wink, wink. All right. I don't know, but I'm sure. So, they're... go ahead, James.
Okay, so the thing is, there were 4 pages that were missing from the diary, and these are 3 of them, which means that 1 is still missing. So it seems like Frank Truman, who is the brother of Harry Truman, who's off sick because he didn't want to return to the series because he's a jerk. He's not a jerk.
Well, he had a beef with Lynch.
We don't know that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't know that.
Some force compelled him to not come back.
Yeah, I think maybe he was just retired. He wants to stay private. Who knows?
Yeah.
But he chose not to come back. And they're saying that 1 page is still missing. But what they're trying to say is that they're theorizing that the page got to where it was because Leland was brought in to be questioned at some point. And when they know that Leland went into the bathroom at that point and allegedly hid the notes there because he was afraid of being frisked, at which point they would find the notes that would implicate him in the murder of Laura Palmer.
And Leland being the father.
The father. Leland Palmer is the father of Laura Palmer.
Got it, yeah.
But my theory was that it was Mike, because we've seen Mike be in there, and we know that Mike and Bob had a close connection, and that Bob was kind of riding around in Leland like a suit, so Mike would apparently have access to the same pages that Bob would. But, either way works.
Mike is the one-armed guy?
Yes.
But he's possessed by somebody?
Well, Mike is the spirit that possesses Gerard, who is the one-armed shoe salesman.
Okay. One-armed shoe salesman, I know.
Yes.
You might as well have a one-armed horse foot fixer. You ever see that? It takes 2 hands. All right.
Yeah, so because of what's written on here, because he knows that it directly implicates Leland saying it's not Bob, and because we know from Fire Walk With Me that Laura Palmer walked in on Bob stealing the pages from the diary from behind the wardrobe, which she then later found out wasn't really Bob, it was actually her father Leland, because he's the one who leaves the house after she runs out and hides next to the bushes. We know that there's a good credible amount of evidence that shows that it could have been Leland who left it there.
Okay. Well, also, if it was Bob who took the pages, she wouldn't have had time to go right on the page that was missing that it was Bob. Or Mike? Is that right?
What?
I got confused. Wait, you're saying it wasn't Bob?
Bob is the spirit from the Black Lodge, apparently, or the Lodge, if you want to call all the Lodge the same thing. Some people don't prescribe to the theory of there being a White Lodge and a Black Lodge, so let's just call it the Lodge. Bob's from the Lodge. Okay. He's riding around in Leland for a very long time because he's possessing Leland to get his Garambozia for doing horrific acts to his daughter and other people.
Yeah, he's the evil villain, primary villain.
Right, so after making the discovery as to, who her father is, once she then knows that Bob and Leland, her father, are one and the same entity, she writes that in her diary. Yeah. And then he subsequently goes and finds it and rips it out and takes it.
Okay, so we think it was Mike then. Is that your theory?
Originally I thought it was Mike, but I'm saying there's enough evidence to say that Hawk's theory is just as valid as it being
What's
Mike.
Hawk's theory?
Hawk's theory is that Leland put it there.
Okay, so it's either Leland or Mike. All right.
Yeah, and because of the content of what's in the page, Hawk is making a prediction where he's saying, okay, well, if it says that the good Cooper is in the Lodge, and we know that Cooper came out of the Lodge, then who is the Cooper that we let out? That we saw leave. Yeah. Because if the good Cooper can't get out, then what came out must not be our Cooper.
Yes, we get, and someone does talk about that in this show. Is that where somewhere Laura never? So then they're trying to reason it all out.
Well, they're talking about the timeline of events. How Lynch plays very fast and loose with chronology. Because how would Laura Palmer have possibly known about Cooper if he didn't even come to the town until he was to investigate her murder? Right. So it's a little bit confusing for them. It should be confusing for them. It's confusing for us, but we just know that time is not a linear thing for Lynch.
Yeah. Right. So then who's this Harry? Is that Harry Hayward?
Doc Hayward.
Doc
Hayward is the
Is that Harry though? Is that Dr. Harry Hayward?
No. Doc Hayward is he was the town doctor. He was one of the two people in the room in the very final scene of season 2 where evil Cooper goes into the bathroom and smashes the head against the window. Okay. So he was one of the few people to actually see Cooper after he emerged from the Lodge.
That's Doc, though. But they also want to talk to Harry. Who's Harry?
Harry is the brother of Frank Truman, the guy who was the sheriff in the original 2 seasons who elected not to come back for season 3.
Okay, so is that what this scene is about? Because then this is him. He's calling Harry.
He's calling his brother Harry, yes.
So this whole scene, though, he basically goes, ooh, shit, sounds everything's fucked up with you, buddy. He basically says, don't worry about it. I'll leave.
Well, because he finds out his brother is not. He's probably taking a turn for the worse. His illness is taken.
Is this just the show addressing the fact that this guy doesn't appear in the show?
It's somewhat, yeah. But it's kind of showing. It's kind of fleshing out the character of Frank, showing that he's a compassionate, caring person who knows that his brother was intimately involved in the events going on, and that his input is still valuable. Yeah. But he doesn't want to burden him with these revelations because he knows his brother is fighting for his life.
Yeah. Someone's on the verge of death. You don't want to be like, anyway, you want to come help me move a couch? But so it also, he was compassionate. Of course he would be. He seems like a
he's a great guy.
Yeah, he wasn't like, well, does this mean I can finally fuck your wife and take your moose skull collection? Yeah. Which is what I assume most men want.
Doris wouldn't like that.
Doris would not like that. All right, I don't know who Doris is. But
Doris is the wife of Frank, the one who comes in yelling about black mold and the leaking pipe.
Yeah, and the broken car.
Yeah.
I'm on Team Doris, man. Fuck you. Doris 2020. Cop outside a thing here. This is... that guy, Andy?
Andy, good. Yeah, nice. So the thing about Andy is that in the first 2 seasons, he was kind of this very weak, very sniveling kind of unstable guy. He couldn't really, exist on his own. Yeah. He wasn't the kind of guy that you send out alone to investigate something. Sure. But in the season 3, we found out a couple of things already. That we know Andy was the one who went to the school to investigate the overdose of the child, who went and talked to the parents. And now, again, we see him out here without a partner, questioning the guy who owns the truck that was apparently fingered for hitting the kid in the intersection in the prior episode. Yeah. So Andy is definitely coming to his own. He's a lot more confident. He's a lot more capable.
He did seem somewhat competent in this sequence.
Yeah. So this is really good. So we see a good side of Andy here, but then we see a bad side.
We do?
He's still kind of incompetent.
Oh, well, yeah, but I mean, compared to where he's inside the department with that woman, where both of them look like they have an IQ of 2
Lucy
together.
Is awesome.
She's 0.25 and he's a 1.75.
All right, but anyway, here, this is the man who apparently owns the truck. I don't know who this person is. I don't know if we're supposed to know who this guy is. I searched the credits for him, but I didn't know what they would call him.
He's real panicky.
Yeah,
he doesn't want him there. He's like, you got to go. I need you to leave.
Yeah, he says, I'll tell you everything you need to know. I'll talk to you, but you have to leave right now. Yeah. And the last person we saw driving that truck was Richard Horne.
Sure.
Who is that creepy guy from the bar, who we presume is the son of Audrey Horne, but we don't know for a fact.
We don't know that yet. Look at this black car back there, James. Is that the car from Vegas? The one that's trolling around? No, obviously not.
No,
These guys are
probably
on the
not.
other side of the country.
But this guy is very nervous, saying, please leave
Yes.
now.
But he agrees, like, I'll meet you somewhere in 2 hours.
Did you not get those screenshots?
Of what? The meeting
Oh,
somewhere?
you didn't get the meeting stuff?
I don't know. Yeah, right here. Please, you got it. Yeah. See you there. That's the meeting stuff.
But what time did he say to meet him there? 4:30.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
3:15.
Remember in the very first episode with the phonograph and Cooper in the lodge talking to the giant tells Cooper, remember, 430.
Yeah, but what they...
Richard and Linda, 2 birds with 1 stone. Could it be connected to 4:30 as a time? Why would they have the guy specifically look at his watch and call out 4:30? Did they need to do that? No.
Yeah, but...
Did they do that to throw us off? Maybe.
Maybe, but...
But they still did that.
It just seems like such a weak payoff.
You can't ignore it, though.
No, I'm not disagreeing. I just think, like, there's got to be something, some other 430 number significance than, like, this meeting that these two guys agree to have later on in the day. Because nothing, not to spoil that moment, but I'm going to spoil it, nothing happens at 4:30. The meeting doesn't even happen. Nothing shows up.
And what relevance would that have directly to Cooper, such that Cooper needs to remember 4:30 in the context of this meeting doesn't really hold water.
I agree. Yeah. I assume there's some other more important 4:30 later on.
But the gist of this is that Andy foolishly agrees to meet this man later on at 4:30 on a loggers road outside of this area because he's so paranoid about not having the cops be there when something happens. Presumably when Richard Horne gets
seemed like
home.
someone was coming home and he didn't want the cops.
Yeah, it's got to be Richard.
Something like that. Yeah. Maybe he doesn't like the cops being around all the moss on his roof. Yeah. You know, maybe there's that. What is this guy trying to grow the Shire? Come on, scrape that shit off there, dude. You're gonna get black mold. All right, this is Sheriff Frank. Okay, so back to the thing. Sheriff Frank Truman's calling, and he's... I like that he's talking to this doctor. He goes, you know what Skype is?
Yeah.
They have this little exchange about Skype. So he gives him his info. Then he goes, okay.
I love this.
Yeah,
this
it
so
happened
bizarre.
so quick. I missed it. So, like, see this little log thing here? He just rotates it up like he's fucking Batman, touching his red phone, and then, you know...
I love that he's so old school that he doesn't have his computer screen up at all times. It's a special occasion thing such that it rises dramatically out of the desk.
It has this kick-ass rig that lifts it out of the desk. Like that. Yeah. It's probably not that complicated, but you got to have the whole mechanism built in place.
It's very unusual.
Yeah,
and then he starts pecking at the keyboard.
This is like what Elon Musk or like the Google billionaires or some dude, some guy with too much money and time on his hands should have. Yeah. Not this like rinky-dink old sheriff, but... Anyway, so then he
can we do the authentic Skype sounds?
Yeah, real Skype sounds. I always like that. He just has one, Dr. Hayward. Keep that interface nice and simple. And there he is. And so he's asking about Agent Cooper Cameron.
Okay, before we get too far into this,
you go.
I should mention that Doc Hayward is played by a guy named Warren Frost.
Warren Frost.
He died in reality in February 2017. I think the log lady died in January 2017. He died in 2017.
Jeez.
And he's the father of the Twin Peaks co-creator Mark Frost and the writer Scott Frost.
Okay.
So, very important character, very dear character to the series. But he is being called by Truman because he knows that this was one of the two people, being his brother and Doc Hayward, interacted with Cooper right after he got out of the lodge.
Yeah.
So he wants to know, was there anything strange about him?
He's kind of retracing Cooper's moments when he first emerged from the lodge. Yeah. And I had him checked out. I made my run. So where did he was in a hospital somewhere? Or?
Well, he went back to the Great Northern Hotel, and I think they took him over to the hospital for evaluations, and that he was supposed to be in, being held in a room in intensive care, but he basically emerges from the room, walks out, and he says, I saw that strange face again, which makes me wonder if when Evil Coop looked at Doc Hayward, if the Bob morphing thing started happening, because he said strange face.
Yeah, it almost made it sounded to me like he was saying I couldn't recognize him. Like
I knew who he was, but it wasn't him.
Yeah, totally. That's how I read it too. But he didn't say a word. He just turned around and walked out.
But he did also say that. Oh, you keep going with the subtitles.
Oh, all right. Well, I might not. I don't have every single line of dialogue.
He says that he assumed that he was leaving, and I could have this wrong, but assumed that he was leaving to check on Audrey Horne, who, as we know, was in a coma at the time.
Of course, everybody knows that.
Yeah, there was basically what happened is that there was the Ghostwood project that was going on. Remember I said everything's going to kind of connect back to the Ghostwoods.
Yeah.
This was a project that was started, I believe, my memory could be fuzzy, but it was started by her father, Benjamin Horne, who then dropped the project out of he regained a conscience about the environment, about the woods. They were going to build like a country resort or something like that, country club, where the Ghostwoods were, which would be complete devastation of the forest in favor of this new development.
Sure.
So his daughter, Audrey Horne, kind of got on the train with him when he opposed it, and she went down to the Twin Peaks Savings and Loan, I think it was called. What was it called? I wrote it down somewhere here. Anyway, yes, the Twin Peaks Saving and Loan, because apparently she found out that the Packards, like Josie Packard and... Andrew Packard, yes, Butt Packard, sure.
That's the closest you've ever gotten to swearing.
And Packard Bell and all those people. Yeah. They were all there. They were funneling the money for the project through this bank.
The Green Bay Packards?
Yes. So she went and she chained herself to the vault door. Meanwhile, Andrew Packard, Pete Martell go to the vault to open a safety deposit box, which has a bomb inside, which explodes, that was planted by Thomas Eckert.
Okay.
And apparently it's presumed that Pete Martell gave his life shielding Audrey from the blast mostly, so she was in a coma.
Okay.
So that's kind of where Audrey is at this point in time. And the implication that some people are putting out there, and I can't ignore it even though I so hope this is not the case. I think there's like a 1% chance this is the case because it's so horrible, but if you're assuming that Richard Horne is the daughter of Audrey...
Which I've been assuming that for years.
And that Richard Horne is evil... Hopefully, and Audrey actually had a thing for Coop.
Okay.
But Coop realized, I'm an FBI agent and you're like a schoolgirl, this can't happen. So he kind of rejects her. But there's the implication that maybe Bad Coop went and possibly did something to her in her coma, which gave birth to Richard Horne. Oh. I don't want that to be true, but we have to throw it out there.
Yeah, we don't like impregnating people in comas.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's bad.
Yes. Okay. That would be monstrous, and I don't think Lynch would go there.
Are you talking about this show anymore? You're not talking about this episode now. You're talking about backstory.
Yeah, backstory.
Okay, got it. All right.
So I don't think Lynch would be that tasteless to do that, but it's.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily tasteless. It could be tasteless, but I'm just like it could be just like a really horrifying thing that happens. I mean, Earth is filled with terrible shit happening that beguiles the imagination. Beguiles, is that the right?
Sure.
All right. So more of that, or it's good backstory there though. Yeah. I appreciate that. So the whole thing with his exchange was that this Cooper he evaluated was odd.
Yeah, it confirms his suspicions that the Cooper that came out of that hospital and came out of that lodge was not the Cooper that they knew.
Yeah, so they did get the business out of the way, and then this is the part where they talk about good old country boy stuff, which is this is the kind of conversations I like. Caught 2 brown trout in my pajamas. Now, what? And then he goes, I don't know how they got in my pajamas. I just assumed that meant he shit his pants.
That's what I thought too.
That sounds like he's
And then
saying.
They go about, did you fry them up and eat them?
Yeah.
Pan fried them out there. It got a little bit weird.
I had some scrambled eggs and so was he saying he actually caught trout while wearing his pajamas?
Or using the pajamas as a net or something?
Or did he say I shit my pants and then he cooked them by the river and ate them with some potatoes or whatever the fuck he says?
I assumed that he had crapped himself, but maybe someone can tell us. Is this like some common Southern story that I've never heard?
Or maybe just like old people, like, oh yeah, I'm shitting myself again, and they're all like, yeah, me too. Well, I crapped my pants at church.
Or maybe he's just telling a joke, saying I caught 2 brown trout in my pajamas, and it could mean either thing. I was wearing pajamas when I did it. I crapped in my pants.
Yeah.
Or I used my pajamas to catch them.
I think it's just a joke, honestly.
Yeah, they're laughing about it.
Yeah, it's just a fun little joke, Like I like to tell my dad, I pissed in my mouth. Didn't realize I had a boner while I was sitting, scrunched up a little bit, and most of it got in my mouth.
Excellent.
All right, so that's the end of that scene. Police station number 11. 1 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1 2 2 minus 1
119
119. All right, never forget everybody. 9/11. That's all right. So Detective MacLachlan.
This is the Buckhorn Police Department. South Dakota.
This is Joan Cusack without the gamma rays.
Yeah,
or she comes in.
Lieutenant Knox.
Who
we know was sent here by Davis. Davis.
Yeah, everybody knows
Davis.
that. Who's Davis? Oh, that's the military guy?
Yeah.
Ernie Hudson?
Yeah, because basically what happened was their database got a hit on fingerprints. And he's apparently been getting hits in the database multiple times over the past 18 years, all coming up matching to Major Garland Briggs, who died in like 1989 or something like that in a fire.
Okay.
But the interesting thing is I misinterpreted what I had heard originally, because when I heard that, I was like, okay, so they've been finding bodies of this guy all over the place. It's like, no, they haven't been finding bodies. They've been finding traces of his fingerprints, thinking that he's still out there.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the time span, he would be in his 70s by now.
Yeah.
So they think he didn't die in the fire. He's out there leaving his prints all over the place. Or we're finding evidence of him where he's been before he died.
So she's sent to investigate this new prints that have showed up.
Yes, but she doesn't know that the prints were lifted directly from a body.
So she wants to see the body, and they bring him out, and he's got a big old fat belly, and pulls him up, and no head. Look at that nipple, James. God, geez, it's so close. I can't stop staring at it. What can't you stop staring at, James? The
stub of the head.
Yeah, for me, it's the nipple. All right, where's the rest of them? And so she's just like, what the fuck? So she says how old? It was late 40s.
Where is his head, though?
Nobody knows.
Floating through space in the lodge. You remember?
Oh, that's the head to this body,
Yes,
though?
that's the head to that body.
Oh, my God.
Blue rose.
Is that confirmed? Do you know that for sure?
Well, that's Major Garland Briggs' face.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh, well, I don't know his face is. I mean...
He's a major character in the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, well... That explains why I don't know it. Okay, so to know who this is, so she's like, oh shit, and she's like, we don't have anything, but she immediately goes and calls her superior. But trilling, have you ever heard this word for the phone ringing?
It's the second time they've used it.
They used it twice in this episode. Yeah. I've never heard that before.
I've heard it, but very rarely.
It's fine. It sounds like a good. It sounds like tribbing, which is a word. You know what that means? It's when two women love each other so much that they interlock their legs and.
Thank you.
Google it. Google it in private, James. James likes to jerk off in the kitchen.
Really?
I walk downstairs and I catch him. I'm like, oh, James, put it away. You're knocking over blenders and stoves and stuff, James. Put that ghost wood away. All right, so it's pale. Yeah.
Okay, what did Davis say to her? He said, before she left, he said, this is probably nothing.
Yeah.
But if in the rare case it is something, we're going to have to call the FBI.
Oh, yeah. Okay, it's out of there.
So Cindy Knox, which is Lieutenant Knox,
right,
calls to tell him that, the head is missing and these prints came from a body, and the body is here.
Yeah. And he's like, what? But they're both confused. Or are they confused? Or because they've been finding prints on other bodies?
But they assume that the prints were coming from a living person.
Oh, the whole time.
Or the prints were placed there prior to his alleged death in the fire.
Yeah.
So this kind of implies that Major Briggs was the only person in the series who was confirmed to have been invited into and taken into the White Lodge. He was marked by it. Mm-hmm. He was heavy into the Blue Rose thing, into the paranormal, heavy into the classified stuff. And he always had this history of disappearing and reappearing all over the place.
Okay.
So he was this very mysterious character. And it seems like he may have been time traveling all over the place until he was finally caught and killed, his head removed, by presumably evil Cooper.
But it's not this guy, right?
This guy is interesting.
Yeah, because he was the dude that was sitting in the prison cell.
That's what I thought too.
It's not true?
Well, at first I was thinking, okay, is this Jerry Horne coming in? But I was like, no, it doesn't really, he's got the beanie, he's got the jacket, he's got the beard, but I don't think it was him.
Yeah.
And the next logical person was, it looks like the kind of soot-faced log woodsman that was in the jail cell next to the guy who was accused of killing Ruth Davenport and...
The teacher. Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy from Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, whose name is...
Zoinks!
What's his name?
Oh, hey, Scoob!
Yeah. I can't think of his name at this very moment, but...
Yeah.
But yeah, it looked like that. And the whole mythology of the logger and the woodsman being like the wife of the woodsman who died, being the log lady who died in a fire, it was assumed that his soul was trapped in the ghost wood in the log that she carried around. It was also presumed that the woodsman, the husband of the log lady, was one of the spirits, along with his doppelganger, in the upstairs meeting at the convenience store in Fire Walk with Me.
Okay.
So, I know this is a lot.
Yeah, you throw out. It's not. You're not doing anything wrong. I find tracking all that information like I'm trying to catch arrows. Like arrows are just whizzing by me, and I'm just like, oh, and I'll just like stick my hand up and get stabbed in the hand, and I never catch an arrow. So yeah.
But him being in the background does not seem to be a coincidence either.
No, and then not at all. And so look, there's more trilling. He calls someone. We see him again because. So she says, like, hands off the body here. This look how big up that belly stands up, man. That's jeez. And she didn't hear from me for too much longer. What does she say? She lets them know a little bit here, right?
Yeah, she says my partner Mulder is coming pretty soon, and he doesn't want you touching the body.
Mulder, nice, James. Scully, I get it. But then they show the guy walking by again.
Yeah. Which kind of confirms that he's really there. He wasn't just an apparition.
Well, it could still be an apparition. None of them ever acknowledge him. This could be Bruce Willis from The Sixth Sense. You know what I mean? Like it's, but yeah, I'm saying I don't have enough evidence either way with this show that he could, for all we know, he could turn into a twig and start singing Christmas carols. Okay, so then picture of a corn,
an ear of corn, next to a blue background
of a guy who has ear problems,
or
in a world where people vomit creamed corn.
Blue velvet. The ear, severed ear on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
It all makes sense now.
It all totally makes sense.
It doesn't make sense.
And maze, another word for ear.
Or a puzzle that we're all trapped inside.
Which is just like a maze on the back of a Denny's menu, which is where my parents told me they were getting a divorce. All right, let's keep going. That's not true at all. It happened at home. All right, my mom cried. She goes, we're getting a divorce. I was like, I'm 6. What the fuck? This is a little overwhelming. Knock it off. Okay, so then he's whistling.
Yeah. And I was trying to see if there was like some sort of a symbolism behind the tune he was whistling, but I read the lyrics to it and everything. It didn't really seem to connect to anything that I was aware of.
Okay, all right. Well, that's, who knows? There's probably some 400-page theory about him whistling moment. And then door knocks, so he goes, "Ow, my ears!" And he's got his hearing aids turned up to a little high for the whistling.
So it's Albert coming back from his very unhappy trip through the 34-degree freezing rain to meet with Diane.
Yes, and he does this thing where he closes the door and he just takes this funny posture. Not that he's really trying to be funny or anything. I just thought it was interesting that he just sort of stops and closes the door and just stands there. So this is about Cooper, isn't it? She said, and I quote, so he went, he's reporting back about Diane, which is Laura Dern, wearing a modified mop helmet.
Yes.
Something. Maybe not mop's the right word, but no fucking way, on the verge of, goes, then I went home and I was on the verge of pneumonia 15 minutes later.
And F. Gene Kelly.
Yes, that's right. He's the one that screamed about Gene Kelly because he was out in the cold.
Sadly, he too is also now dead, as we mentioned.
Gene Kelly?
Yes, Gene Kelly is now dead.
Oh wait, who's Albert? You're talking about
the actor playing Albert.
Miguel
is no longer
Ferrero.
with us. Yes,
Ferrero
sadly he passed away.
he died. That's too bad.
Yeah, I liked him a lot.
Yeah, this show is filled with dead people. My God, you and I are next, as if we're on the show.
So he tells Albert. Well, Albert tells him, he's like, "You got to come with me if we're going to have any sort of chance at getting her."
Right.
And this is an interesting part because Albert finally pushes back at his boss for once, because he says,
"Say please."
Yeah, say please. But
what?
Cole says, "What?" And then he goes, "You heard me."
Yeah, I missed it. It's between these two. He goes, "You heard me," which I like that. He's like, you heard me. Don't give me that I'm deaf shit to force me to repeat it. You heard me. He's pleased. So maybe this guy's tuning in a little more, and he uses his deafness as a bit of a cudgel and a shield. And why not? You got to pay. That's one thing human beings are amazing at, is we are great at exploiting systems. We exploit cracks in systems for our advantage, and that's what he's doing here. He's just exploiting his surroundings for his benefit, not necessarily a bad way. It doesn't always mean that's bad. Look at the way prisons develop their own internal economy. Isn't that interesting, James? All right, so
before we go any further right here, before we go into Bill Cosby's house.
Speaking of prison, it's the Huxtables.
These are... Camille! I recently discovered something about these. This looks like New York to me. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just another city. But these were... I watched the HBO original series The Night Of. You watched it as well.
Yep, we held hands the whole time.
Yes, and these are called brownstones.
Yeah.
If it's in New York. I don't know if it's called
that. They call them brownstones in Chicago, too.
They do? Okay. Yeah. From what I learned from that series, these are incredibly expensive pieces of real estate.
That's an oversimplification. I'm no real estate expert. Yes, depending on area. If they're in the right location.
This looks like a nice area.
Yeah, they're like to own your own thing, because sometimes they're divided into multiple apartments. But yeah, to have a single family brownstone, depending on the location, very expensive. Certainly, even in a shitty area in New York, they're going to be really expensive. And they're not only, they don't only exist in New York. This could be anywhere. I'm guessing New York.
I've caught 2 brownstones in my pajamas once.
Yeah. Did you eat them by the shore?
Yeah.
with some ketchup? Yes. No, but more than likely, the kind of lifestyle we're talking about here is a very expensive fancy
lavish.
house.
Yes.
But there's a lot of rundown brownstones. Chicago's filled with shitty ass. There's also gray. I don't know if they call them gray stones, but there's like they're beautiful though. I mean, look, they're not all brown. They're just, but they're gorgeous and they're well made and they can withstand a fucking hurricane or a tornado. They're heavy. Yeah, they're heavy as if like houses are easy to pick up. Unlike those wooden homes, which I could lift off with ease.
So anyway, she seems to be fairly well to do.
Yeah, they have an okay home. This could be an apartment though. This looks apartment-ish. So anyway, friends of Diane, the FBI, and so she comes out and she just starts giving into business. Now this guy.
So there's a younger man there already in the apartment, and he refers to her affectionately as though he's probably in a relationship with her.
Well, yeah, they look like they had a fun night, and he's getting himself put together and heading off for the morning. That's my sense of the situation. Mm-hmm. I'd love to be an older cougar's just bang friend. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that be fun?
Sure.
To get me out of the house every once in a while. She and I could cry afterwards. Just going to say the same thing to you I said to him. Fuck you. She just starts yelling at him.
She is absolutely hilarious.
Yes, she is.
Anyone who is connected to the FBI gets a big F you from her.
Yeah. Yeah, she offered, he does. But I gave it up. That's the cigarettes. Fuck you, Gordon. Fuck you too, Albert.
It's even funny written.
Right. So
but she's stonewalling him again, saying, I don't want to have anything to do with you or what you want. What you need doesn't matter to me. Because I think that she blames them for the disappearance and loss of Cooper. I think she and Cooper were not only just, assistant and boss, but I think there was a close friendship, if not potentially some sort of a budding romance.
A little hanky-panky.
Possibly.
Yeah. Some Jamesy-Wamesy.
No.
All right.
But she holds them personally responsible for what went down with Cooper.
Yes. She's a bit hard-edged. She doesn't want any... And, if she's got some trauma around this experience, I guess that makes sense. I get it. I thought I said altitude. And I was like, what the... My attitude is none of your fucking business. And so... But she does bring him tea or coffee or whatever that is. And so,
it's coffee.
Damn good coffee. That's obviously a reference to Cooper liking coffee, would you say?
Yes, I mean that is a classic Twin Peaks line.
That's the surface level references I can understand.
Yeah.
The rest of it, no idea. So she's entertaining. She doesn't kick him out. She could totally just close the door on their face.
So they basically tell him this involves Cooper directly, and we need someone who knows him extremely well to come and talk to him briefly in the South Dakota Yankton Penitentiary.
Mm-hmm. So they're recruiting her for their because she has some unique connection to them that they think could be useful.
But Cole says something pretty interesting. He says it involves something that you know about, and that's enough about that.
Yeah.
So he's withholding some information from us.
Right. Cole is.
Yes.
Who's Cole? Him? That's
Really?
Albert.
Yes.
Who's Cole?
By the process of elimination, it would have to be
Don't
David
they call
Lynch.
him something? Gordon. Who's Gordon?
Gordon Cole.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Gordon could be a last name. Detective Gordon from Batman.
Yes.
Come on, James.
There's only three people in the room. You know Albert, you know Diane.
Yeah,
it's the couch cushion.
Yeah, when you talk about other scenes, you bring up 14 other people from other backstory stuff. So that's why every name sounds like it could be some new character I've never heard of before.
Okay.
I mean, I'm wrong more than you are here. Not that you're wrong. I'm not trying to Okay. All right. Okay. So she kind of agrees.
She agrees to come with them to South Dakota.
And they even rent a private jet. This is fucking fancy, man, huh? Look at this shot. I was like, holy shit, what is this, Lord of the Rings? Now, something weird is happening. These windows were like flashing. I don't think... It might have been the frame rate or something. It didn't seem... But I should have... Like, you can even... Okay, look. 3... Okay, so see how there's 1, 2, 3? 1, 2, 3. 4 is white right now. The next shot, 4 is not white. 5 is white. There was something going on with these windows.
It's not just the sun reflecting and blowing out a window.
That might have been it too.
Or it could be that it's Diane mooning the window.
Yes, with her big white butt.
Yeah.
That's how she blocks off the lights so someone can get a nap. She doesn't have I have a big white butt. I could put my whole back up against it, but it'd look a little hairy too. But I don't know. It happened really quickly. I thought it was mostly like this is the sun just hitting it, but it's so cleanly covered. It was very weird.
I mean, there are also covers you can pull down on airplanes.
They weren't being moved up and down. They were like flickering. Like
maybe it was Tammy playing with flickering it up and down because she was bored.
Well, they do call these planes God's recorder. The musical thing, you can press it with your fingers, and maybe God was pressing the holes going... That was not smart or funny or interesting. I really regret. I should edit that out. It's all right. So then they're on the plane. Judge not lest ye be judge. I have no idea who's saying that.
He's basically thanking Diane for coming there, saying your actions speak far louder than your words, and she retorts with her famous line,
"Fuck you, Albert." That's right. But he's loading her up with booze, and she's smoking, and she killed a leopard to wear this jacket, so she's got it all together. She killed a baby seal to buy that wig.
She killed Lady Gaga.
She's covered in meat. I like that she's wearing these napkin holders here, these napkin rings. Those are fun. But no, she's a boozy old dame.
And then I kind of spoiled it by saying Tammy earlier, but Tammy is on the flight as well as expected because she's accompanying them on this whole trip.
Yep, she's one of the investigators.
And she's showing them results of the fingerprint analysis that she was doing earlier in the lab when she had no lines, but she was comparing the prints from 25 years ago to the current prints from the Cooper in the prison.
Yeah.
And she noticed some anomalies.
Right. She pointed out that this one on the right here, something right here, like something was reversed with it. The code mark is, so I think that this code mark is what they're talking about. See, these things are all in the left corner. This one is on the right corner. So she said like, oh, it looks like so whoever made this flipped this thing here to try to get it to match up.
Yeah, they put it in reverse.
Yeah, had to reverse
something being in reverse is a very potent sign of the Lodge.
Okay, yeah. Things are not
and
what
here, this is a huge thing.
Okay. Back
originally when Cole first encountered Evil Coop in the prison, he said, what do you say? I'm very, very happy to see you again, old friend. Mm-hmm. And the second very he said, people were speculating like crazy that it sounded like he was saying very backwards. But I think the subtitle at the time had it going frontwards. So you can only pick up on that if you're keen on hearing it.
Yeah.
So it seems like Agent Cole picked up on that. And he's saying, the backwards word.
Right. Which is obviously very...
Because it relates to a specific finger.
He's speaking this from remembering...
From
he heard it?
Yes.
It's not like this word here, which is hard to see in this screenshot. No. This is the word very, but backwards.
No, because he does this whole hand thing. Yeah. And we'll get to that in just a second.
Okay. All right, yeah, okay, so thanks for adding some clarity to that. I was a little confused about what that meant, that backwards very thing. So, passing one to summer. So, yeah, he does this. Did you get this whole hand thing?
Yeah, he was saying that there's some sort of mythical thing to it, where every single word in that first sentence he said, I'm very, very happy to see you again, old friend, represented a finger on the hand. With the backwards one representing the second finger, and he says the second finger is, what does he call it? He says it's the spiritual mound, the spiritual finger.
Yes. So that's where the very coincides?
So it's almost as though he's saying that when Cooper, or Evil Cooper, was communicating, his true self was revealed when he hit the spiritual finger. And that's when the backward word slipped out, and he's sharp enough to have caught it.
Okay. And is he pointing, I think this is the ring finger here. It's her left hand ring finger.
I am so glad you mentioned that. Because you reminded me of something that I forgot.
Well, you're welcome. That'll be $5.
Okay. Remember when I got into that horrific story about Evil Cooper going to Audrey to do the evil deed?
Yes, I think.
I think what happened was, I believe Audrey had the owl ring at the time.
Yeah.
And I believe there's a shot in the original 2 seasons that shows a nurse taking the owl ring from her when she's laying in a coma. So I think, and we know that Dougie ended up with it. I presume there's only one ring.
Yeah.
So it could be that Agent Evil Cooper went to the hospital room not to impregnate a woman in a coma, but to retrieve the ring.
Okay.
Anyway, glad you mentioned that.
It sounds like a theory. I can't add to it. I don't know. Yeah. What do you think in the comments? All right. So this whole hand thing is kooky. People's fingers are. She's got everybody's got weird looking hands. Ever look at your hand? It's crazy. They're pretty amazing instruments. Shout out to the thumbs. That's Tammy.
She's a jazz singer too. I don't know if she's a musician as well, but they say musicians having long fingers is a thing.
She got some long fingers.
Yeah, I think she might be.
And her fingertips are like this. These look darker than what is she doing? Storing her fingers in coffee while she sleeps? Come on.
No,
don't the tips look a little dark?
Yeah, she was hanging out around with that woman from Taboo.
Taboo with the dark fingers.
Where we found it was like doing like some sort of drug.
Oh yeah, the whorehouse
opium
lady.
Or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. The hotel.
Yes, yes.
Right, yeah, totally. No, fingers, I could go on. But, all right, so then she pulls out a picture, or someone pulls out this photo of him.
The only picture they have in the
Cooper.
last 25 years showing him at his house in Rio.
In Rio.
Now, what does that mean to you?
It means that he likes the movie Scarface.
Rio de Janeiro is where?
Brazil.
And Buenos Aires is where?
Argentina.
Right. Buenos Aires, Argentina is where Philip Jeffries was teleporting all over the place. So what is this weird South American connection between entities of the Lodge?
I assume we'll learn more about that as it goes on. Yeah. Right?
Maybe.
Yeah, hopefully. All right, so it belonged to some girl from Ipanema, which is that famous song. Dun, 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 the girl from Ipanema. You get that song?
Yes,
James, quit dancing, James. You're making the house shake. So, yeah, but she's listening, kind of like, right? Like,
Yeah, she's saying it looks like the man... Well, he's saying it looks like the man we met in prison.
Yeah, yeah. She's mostly just distressed because the fingernail place messed up. They gave her all a bunch of wrong colors.
Yeah, and she's going to pull her ripcords pretty soon.
Yeah.
When she jumps.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be funny if the plane had its own ripcord and just the whole plane just gets in a parachute and just falls down. All right, so Yankton. Perfect name for a place where men live. Yankton. Get it, James?
Yes.
And I speak to him alone. She's laying down the ground rules here. She is going along with it, obviously. It's exactly the way it's going to be, Diane, and we're very appreciative.
I love this.
Yeah, Tammy says... Yeah, that's Tammy saying we're very appreciative.
She speaks up, trying to thank her, just like Albert tried to thank her on the plane.
Right.
She goes, what was your name again?
It's like, almost don't put your nose into this business.
Yeah.
'Cause she got a good old, fuck you, Tammy. She's the
love
government.
that so much.
She hates all these federal investigators. Government spooks, they call them. Although that's racist if you...
Yes, it is.
But that's not always racist. It's
racist enough to be...
But the word government spook doesn't mean racist. But spook does.
If you say it in the context of like a Halloween party, I think you're okay.
Or like, but it means like a spy, like a person who's like a government agent. I know it's racist. I'm not trying to say it's not, or like I'm not making this an issue with me trying to make sure I can say that word. Life was great before they told me I couldn't say the word spook. Yeah.
Diane's gonna tell you something.
Yeah, fuck you, Hank. You fucking guy. All right, so anyway, enough of that. Nothing, dudes. Okay, so boom, she goes in here.
She goes into her mixing recording studio.
Yeah, she's gonna record a podcast with Dale, or with Mystery Cooper, I guess. But the thing goes up, and there he is. She has kind of an immediate visceral reaction to him. She seems to be, obviously deeply connected to this person.
Yeah.
Right? I knew it was going to be you. It's good to see you again. And he's speaking very clearly.
Yeah, but still in that deep, monotone, slow voice.
Yeah,
and he recognizes her. He calls her by name.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you upset with me, Diane? It's nice to see this guy actually talk instead of going, hot dog. Car, hookers,
Dougie Jones. Case files.
Dougie boner. Case files. When was the last time we saw each other, Cooper? At your house. So he has memories, and like he kind of gets it. Do you remember that night? I'll always remember that night. I'll never forget it. Does that mean they had a bunch of sex? Is that what that is?
This brings up a kind of a weird circumstance. So
yeah.
This is where she asked the question, who are you? Which is the same question that Laura Palmer asked Bob, and she's talking to Bob right now, essentially, because Bob is within the doppelganger. So there's a parallel between that. You're ruining me.
There you go, that's better.
There's a parallel between the two things here, but the implication that the last time they saw each other was at her house means that there could have been some sort of romantic liaison. Which could mean that it was... We don't know, though, if it was the good Coop or the bad Coop that she was with that night.
Right. But he remembers, right?
But he also remembers her, and
yeah,
does he remember her specifically because he met her there that night? Possibly.
That's what it sounds like.
Is her hatred of the FBI and her initial resentment towards hearing the name Cooper resulting from what happened that night?
Oh, right. Maybe she felt scorned, or maybe it could be. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Or was it the good Cooper, and then immediately afterwards he disappears to Twin Peaks after kindling some sort of a beginning of relationship with her, and then he disappears off the face of the planet.
Yeah, I think she fucked the tree. She banged that thing and got electrified by it. The arm, the evolution of the arm.
Yeah. So she knows, she's looking directly into his eyes, and she knows that it's not Cooper, which why she says, who are you?
Yeah, and that's what's unnerving for her, is that this guy does seem to have personal memories, but she also sees that there's really not somebody that she recognizes in his eyes, right?
Yeah.
So she sort of panics a little bit, sort of freaks out. Oh God, I gotta get out of here. So she like takes off, and they're all on their way out. And thank you, Orton Murphy, and hold him, this man till you. So anyway, they're about in the car here. This was an interesting way they framed it with these two standing closer to the camera, and then they had their moment. Dale Gordon, no, Gordon Cole.
Yes.
Gordon Cole came over and had a moment with her over here. And so she's like, no, it's not. That's not the same one that I know. So it's not time. It's how he's changed or the way he looks. There's something. There's no heart. But God, she's a little shook up about it. I mean, Jesus Christ.
She says it isn't time passing or how he's changed or the way he looks. It's something here, and she taps her chest. There's something that definitely isn't here.
Yeah.
Which could be representative of the whole riddle that was given to Hawk originally. Something is missing.
Oh, okay.
There's something missing from this Cooper.
Yeah, I mean,
it relates to Agent Cooper, and it has something to do with your heritage. So the heritage being the lodge, where you came from. Oh. So you could apply all three parts of the riddle to the existence of Evil Coop.
Evil Coop, yeah, sure, okay. Yeah, all right. But God, she's upset. She cries, and he's like, tries to hug her or something. And you and I will have a talk sometime. So yes. So
she's got a key piece of information. What happened that night?
Yes.
That we don't know about, but she's agreed to talk to him at some point in the future, him being Cole, about what happened that particular night.
Yeah, right. Let's just watch her do this for a little while here, James. Yeah, look at her, James. Look at her go. Yeah. So that's the point of that scene, or the thread left hanging from that scene is the loose thread is what happened that night.
Yeah. So now Gordon Cole has no doubt in his mind that the man in that jail cell is not Cooper.
Right.
Which is why he says, "Don't let this man go."
Yeah. Yeah. He doesn't want to. Yeah. Right. So anyway, they. Walk him up here, the guards put him away, listen to me a minute. And the guards are sort of tell Warden, he's like, haha, yeah, right, a message? She goes, no, but just tell him. So they do get the message to him that they want to talk about a strawberry. So something will happen there. Now, here we are.
And did you pick up on the strawberry reference?
No. Later on, it made slightly more. But
do you remember the last episode, before he made his phone call? He was left in the room alone, supposedly being private, but he stared directly into the camera because he knew they were filming him, and spoke directly to the warden. He goes, who should I call? Should I call perhaps Mr. Strawberry? No, I don't think he's taking calls anymore. Right. And the warden's face kind of went pale. Okay. Because that meant something specifically to the warden.
Okay. Right, yes. And we'll find out more about that later.
Yes.
Although not everything we want to know, but this will come back, so we're not going to go into too much detail. So now, next thing, the old Andy waiting. We assume it's the 4:30 meeting 4:30. On the road that they agreed to meet on. Bird cawing.
That's Why would you leave your door open, though?
Yeah, it's a little weird. I think some teen would come by and just smash that off. Maybe a skateboard punk would knock off your door. But yeah, I know it's a weird choice. But I mean, nobody's around. So anyway.
And it cuts back to the house, and we can see that the guy is not even on his way. His truck is still there.
Right, and there's actually like an intense music.
A very intense, foreboding sound.
Which I got excited about. I was like, oh, finally, some action's going to go down here.
And it shows the door open.
The camera, I think, was pushing in a little bit on the door, and the door's open.
It leads you to wonder, is the man in there? Is he dead? Is he alive? Is he not coming by his own? Is he being held back by the very thing that he was afraid of? The thing that he said that Andy had to leave before it got there?
Yeah. I just want to point out the quality carpentry going on here with this corner seam thing, joint thing on the baseboard there, the outdoor stuff. And so he checks his watch. Of course, he's got a Rolex.
Is that a Rolex?
Yeah, it says Rolex.
Holy crap, Andy. Yeah. How did he get that?
It says it Rolex right there. Oyster Perpetual Date. Whatever the fuck does all Rolexes say that shit?
How much does the sheriff department pay?
$10,000 a year, and he spent all of it on a Rolex. No, I don't know. I mean, this looks like a crappier one, but it's, hey, what the fuck? It's still a Rolex. Even a shitty Rolex, it's got to cost you $5,000 or $6,000, right?
Yeah.
They're like suits.
That's true.
I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that costs, but I know I can't afford one.
My cell phone can tell time. That's all I care about.
It's the only watch I have is Verizon.
I can buy a calculator watch from Walmart. It'll do the trick.
It'll do the trick. Yeah, I'm not a watch guy myself. Never. I don't have any problem with them per se, but I just like the last thing I think I need to buy ever. If I ever need to be like, hey, look at me, I got a watch.
Then you get those fancy people who like to collect fancy watches and puts them in fancy drawers, all with those, those rotating boxes that keep them wound.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, just right.
Those are people with too much money.
Yeah, there's a lot of people with too much money. I could use a little bit of their time-telling ability. Okay, enough of that. Knock at the door. So now we got a meeting here. This is all the animals. I just like to point out this is that singing fish. This is that singing deer. And that's that singing bird.
And there's that singing camera between them.
Singing camera. We got the singing prisoner. And the singing ficus. So,
yes, that is the evolution of the arm.
Yeah, that's him dressed up for prom.
Yeah.
Handcuffs click, they lock him in.
This is Ward Murphy's office.
Yeah. Yes, and so...
He says, the camera's off, the microphones are off, we can speak privately.
Of Kim Jong-un over there for some reason.
And he says we can speak so privately, in fact, that I can pull a gun on you.
That was weird. He just whips out a gun and points at him. So he brings up the dog leg, which I had no... I remembered it, obviously, but I was like, oh yeah, the dog leg, what the hell? And so at least we sort of go a little further in explaining what that dog leg was about, right? With this whole sequence.
You don't know?
Well, he explains, like, the dog legs are out in the world or something. I don't know. I didn't know.
Okay, I'll piece it together for you. When you know the answer, yell it out.
Okay.
Shall I call Mr. Strawberry? Oh, he's not taking calls now. The late Mr. Strawberry?
Daryl Strawberry.
Yeah. Mr. Strawberry is the warden's dog. Those are his legs.
Oh.
And it says a couple of things. It says, 1, I killed your dog.
Yeah.
And 2, I know where you live. I know where your family is.
Okay.
And I'm sending the legs of your dead dog to other people who I could have come after you if anything happens to me.
That's where I was confused. Was what is sending out the other legs gonna do? Like, I didn't understand what that meant. I thought it meant, like, when you're committing a crime or something, or you have evidence against someone else, and you're like, if my lawyer doesn't hear from me every 24 hours, the lawyer will send in this evidence, and you'll all be taken down.
I think it's just a more horrifying way of doing that.
Is it similar to that at all?
I think so, yeah.
Like, he's basically saying, if you let me go, I won't do this. He's blackmailing him. It's not even blackmail. That's not the right word.
It's an absolute threat.
Yeah, it's an overt threat, I guess. I assumed Strawberry had something to do with this guy having some sort of major crime.
Originally, I thought that too. I thought Mr. Strawberry was like a mob boss that he had killed or something, and that's why he's not taking calls anymore.
Yeah.
But now it seems obvious to me that Mr. Strawberry is the dog.
It's just a threat against his family then.
Yeah.
Not like, I'll turn you in for something.
Yeah, and he says something like, the others, referring to the legs, went out with information you're thinking about now, to people you don't want coming around here if anything bad happens to me.
Okay.
And then he says the name Joe McCluskey.
Yeah.
And that freaks the heck out of him.
Yes. That's why I thought there was a lot more going on.
Yeah. Now, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe Joe McCluskey is a known name. Maybe he's in season 1, season 2, Fire Walk With Me, one of the companion books or something, and I just don't remember it. If that's the case, my bad. I don't know, but I don't recognize Joe McCluskey.
Right.
But apparently it has significant meaning to the warden, enough so that it buys him a lot of bargaining chips.
Yeah, a hell of a lot of bargaining chips. So before we get to the final part of the scene, but I want a friend in the glove. He's talking about he wants a gun.
Yeah, friend in the glove compartment.
It doesn't mean just like a tiny man.
It's one of those little hula dancers that sticks there.
Yeah, a little booty shaking around. So 1 a.m. tonight. He's just laying out his terms, what he wants, where it might not make out.
He wants a cheap rental car.
Remember the dog legs. I'm not interested in you. You'll never see me again. And no one will ever hear anything anymore about Joe McCluskey or your late Mr. Strawberry. Okay, so
pretty solid that it's probably the dog.
Calling it late Mr. Strawberry, that's probably is the dog. Good name for a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have gone with Mr. Lemon Meringue Pie myself, but strawberry's pretty good. It's a nice flavor. Terrible ice cream, but
yeah, so
otherwise
essentially
it's pretty good.
So he's asked for a free passage outside of the jail, outside of the prison, a rental car, a gun from the warden, along with the release of Ray.
So and Ray is the guy that
Ray and Daria.
Kid. Daria. Oh.
Remember Daria? He murdered her?
Yeah. Wait, he murdered her.
Yeah, in the bed. Because
which
the thing
is
okay, Ray and Daria, they were the ones that he picked up from Otis's house, the trailer. The guy with the shotgun out front, and then
the shovel guy?
No, that's oh my god. The shovel guy is the Dr. Jacoby.
Oh,
no,
Dr. Jacoby.
Ray is the guy. Remember, Daria was laying in bed, and he had just walked through the door, and she hung up the phone. Said, "Oh crap, he's coming."
Okay.
She was talking to, I think it was Ray, and I think Philip Jeffries had instructed them to kill Mr. C, Mr. Evil Cooper.
Oh.
And he found out because he had been recording the conversation before he walked in the door.
Yeah.
And once she found out that he knew, she struggled and tried to get away, but he,
okay,
killed her.
All right. Got it. All right, so that's
But the question is, does Ray know that he's killed her?
Well, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And does Ray know that he knows that Ray was hired by Jeffries to kill him? Ray should be really afraid now if he does.
I feel like we're watching all the soap operas all at once and trying to link them all together.
And Ray's baby daddy has to come.
You are not the father. That's not even what the soap operas are about. But all right, so Joe McCluskey, we don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is.
But it's obviously some really important name to
someone of enough significance and weight that it would cause the warden to willingly disobey an FBI order.
Yes, disobeying the government, FBI guys, which is a big deal. You don't do that.
Yeah.
And also, this guy's their number one prisoner, I'm assuming. Like, and at least the person of most interest going on right now.
Whoever the guy is, the consequences of letting him go is less than the consequences of dealing with Joe McCluskey.
Yeah.
Or information about Joe McCluskey coming out.
Yes, so he needs to protect that information somehow. So back to David Bowie's statue.
Well, I love that they gave us a different angle on it this time.
Yeah.
Like, if you go to the next shot...
He's got some sassy hips.
You can tell, had we seen that angle from the beginning, we would have been like, okay, that's clearly not David Bowie.
Or, which is what I said the first time. I said that's not David Bowie.
I don't know how you were able to see that angle the first time.
Because it wasn't enough evidence. This is a skinny man. So
all skinny men are David Bowie.
Yes.
He's a spirit in the lodge, and he inhabits any skinny man.
There's plenty of skinny men, surprisingly, still nowadays, even with all those Doritos that are out there for so cheap. But this is the outside Dougie's office. Obviously, Mrs. Dougie's waiting. What's her name again?
Janie E.
Janie E. Yeah.
The most annoying wife in the world.
I like her.
Oh, she grates me the wrong way.
He's the most annoying husband in the world.
Right, but she sends him off to work knowing he has a severe mental handicap, not caring about his well-being until the very next day when he still can't string a sentence together, can't dress himself. She sends him to work anyway, berates him, and then says, I'll take you to the doctor on your lunch break.
But he's performing better than ever. His boss loves him. He's doing a great job these days. His production is up.
There is something missing in her head. She has not seen the forest for the trees.
I don't think it's fair to hold anybody accountable in this show for not being completely rational. The whole show is based on people acting goofy. Yes. That's why it's rare when someone doesn't. We're like, oh, the fucking hooker is the most rational person in the show. And Jade, my love.
What about Frank Truman?
And Frank Truman seems pretty rational too. There's a couple of rational people. All right, is there a reason you're not talking to me, Dougie? So that's Tom Sizemore trying to get some information out of him, but he's got nothing.
Anthony Sinclair, who we should remember is the one that Dougie, a.k.a. Cooper, pointed out and said, you're lying in that meeting, when a little bit of the true Cooper bubbled to the surface.
And go ahead.
Also the guy who was saying that we need to pay out on a certain insurance claim, which Cooper called him out on, and whose name he was circling on the forms for Bushnell, the boss.
Right. So there's probably some hijinks going on here with this guy.
So basically, Sinclair knows that Dougie is onto him, that he knows something's up. He knows that he met in Bushnell's office, and he wants to get a little bit more information because he knows that his reputation and his job is at stake if he doesn't find out more.
Right.
Because he's the star employee.
Yes. Of course, Dougie's ignoring his vows to have and to hold and to go out to the car when your wife comes to pick you up, and he has no idea she's even there. So she decides she gets fed up. She storms inside. Walking to his and he's even just.
I couldn't quite make out what he was doodling, but I know that his doodles left the pad and he started scraping it into his ink blotter.
Yeah, I mean, is he done with the ladders on the roof with the explosion, which is what you said?
No, I was trying to screenshot that and flip it around and figure out what it was, but I'm just not sure.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, to me, it looks like a tire fire.
It could be.
No, it's not a tire fire. It looks like people trying to escape a rave stampede. What's that mean? I have no idea what I'm trying to say, James. I'm not. My head is a little bit melted. Okay, so then this lady comes in and she says...
Who is the same woman that helped him out earlier in getting to the bathroom.
Offered to bang him in the bathroom.
Yes, she did.
Yeah. Wish she would offer to bang me in the bathroom. I'd even clean it up a little bit. I'd put the deodorant in the drawer. I don't have a drawer. Something else here to see Dougie. So the other guy goes, "Oh yeah, I got something I got to do." So
as soon as the word police come up, he books it out of there.
And so she goes, "Okay, all right, I'll go get it." And so she goes, and these guys come in. The
guy who I can never take seriously because of his past resume.
David Koechner. Yeah. I've met him, shook his hand. I met him at the Laugh Factory. Yeah.
Is he as goofy in real life as he is?
He was super nice. He was doing a comedy show, and I was doing a show after his show, and he was like, "Oh, nice to meet you, everybody."
He was nice. It's a bald head thing, right?
Yeah, when bald men...
No, I mean, he's got like a prosthetic on to hide his hair.
Yes, that's prosthetic, but he's very committed to the character. So he and we rubbed our foreheads together, then we rotated around without removing our head scalps. And we do a thing where we spin our bodies and our head, the back of our heads touch, and we keep going until we completely rotate. That's how all bald men greet each other.
Is that called Palm 4?
No. I won't say the name until you go bald.
No.
It's called Palm 5. fuckface. No, Dave. It is a little hard because he's like such a comedic, funny character, and he kind of plays sort of a standard issue, beefy, barrel-chested detective. I mean, obviously they chose these three guys to be kind of the same dude.
Yeah,
like this kind of the belly.
They're interchangeable.
They all just look like insurance salesmen at a conference trying to find the airport. It
is almost like they auditioned for the role, and he was like, "I'll take you all."
Yeah, all three of you. You'll be the lead, Keckner. Oh, thanks, Mr. Lynch. That's really nice. He was super nice when I met him. I mean, not that I chatted or anything, but he was like, he had no reason to come talk to the other comedians because he's famous and we were just a bunch of losers.
Yeah.
So
and I love that he holds his badge out.
Yeah,
That's the only thing Coop cares about. He's like a kid reaching for a candy bar.
Yeah. Coop is like basically like a chimpanzee in his second year of sign language class. He's just like he's starting to piece things together a little bit. So the wife comes in.
Yeah, you didn't catch her entry, but yeah, so she busts in just in the nick of time because Cooper can't answer a single question.
Yes,
unless the answer is given to him for him to repeat, he's not going to answer it.
He can't handle a vending machine, let alone three detectives.
Yeah, so Janie E busts in, and they're here because of the car, because the license plate that was on the roof in the Rancho Rosa development. Mm-hmm. They've traced it back to him. So he's like, "Here, we found your car." I mean, and basically Janie says, "Oh yeah, it was stolen."
Right.
And gets him to repeat stolen. Which kind of goes back to the beginning of the episode with Jerry in the woods. My car was stolen. I don't know where I am.
A little bit, yeah.
Almost as though the same situation. There's the implication that his car is stolen and Cooper doesn't really know where he is. He's lost in the woods of his mind.
Yeah. The ghost woods.
Yes.
Right. All right. Yeah. And so they have a whole bunch of back and forth about this whole car situation. Why didn't you report it? Yeah. Why didn't you? And she's being real like usually people are a little intimidated by cops, especially detectives and stuff.
She's not intimidated by knee-busting loan sharks.
Yeah, she's that's why I like her. She's ballsy.
Yeah.
She's over easy. Get it?
Which makes me wonder something though.
What? Does she know more than?
She had a son with Dougie. Yeah. Sonny Jim. Is Sonny Jim have some sort of special characteristic for being half lodge creature?
I don't know.
Is he going to turn into a bronze ball at some point?
Because Dougie wasn't a real man.
Wasn't really human. No, he was a construct.
So she's got some sort of ethereal voodoo lodge DNA.
I'd be more worried about the kid.
That's what I'm saying. Like the kid is half fake DNA. Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's like, like when the gods, like one of the gods would bang a woman and then their son would be Hercules or some shit.
Those stories always screw me up because I would read it and it goes, and then Zeus appeared to her as a swan and gave her a baby. It's like, what woman sees a swan and be like, yeah, I'm going to bang that.
All women.
I know swans. I mean, swans, they do put their wings out and they put their head down and they charge it. They go, ha, ha. I mean, that's the goose probably more than a swan.
Have you had personal experience with swans?
They're terrifying.
With swans?
I don't know what they were. They were just a feathered demon.
Well, geese or swans? I know you've had geese poop in your mouth.
Yes, geese mostly.
Which, by the way, you need some context on the poop in the mouth story because what it sounds like is like you put your mouth under it like a soft serve machine. Like you went like, come on, get it in there. Yeah. But no, you were in a truck or something,
go with
right?
That. Yep.
Yeah. No, but the wind blew the shit in your mouth.
No, it wasn't the wind. It was a projectile straight from the anus.
The anus, right?
It was a turd bullet.
James got a goose shit in his mouth.
Yeah. Anyway,
that's my favorite thing ever.
It was horrifying.
But swans are big and they're aggressive, man.
Yeah.
They're territorial. They'll fuck you up.
They will mess you up indeed.
So they are not the lover's bird at all, just because people see them and want to fuck.
Yeah.
All right. So how do we get onto that? The whole swan thing.
Zeus as a swan banging
Zeus,
someone.
Yeah, swans bang stuff. Yeah. Well, that's whatever. So all right.
And Sonny Jim being a moonchild or something.
Yeah. He's part red curtain.
Yeah.
So it's a terrible car, always in the shop. So a whole bunch of shit about the car, the dealer previously owned.
But she gets them to reveal the nature of why they're questioning the car because they found it exploded.
Yes.
They found it with multiple fatalities around it, and they linked the fatalities to people who were known to be associated with multiple car thefts in the area.
Yeah.
Which tells me that the guys in the black car were exactly what I was thinking they were. They were just common thugs scoping out the car. They were thieves.
Yes.
They weren't connected to Lorraine or Jean or any of that stuff.
They're the Vegas-based goon squad of criminals. Right. So it's multiple car theft. Yeah, right. So, all right. So then he's like, oh, yeah, we have to get some paperwork. Like, oh, we'll let you do it tomorrow, though. Don't worry. Just call us up in the morning. So that's nice. And so they get to go home. evening, and the boss is in there. They write down the boss's name, Mullins, right? Bushnell
Mullins. So he comes in asking about the car and everything. They crack a joke like, well, it looks like you won't have trouble getting insurance from this one because you know, you work in an insurance company.
Good one.
Yeah. So Mullins wants to have a word with Dougie about the case files. He has questions, but he says, you know what? We'll take care of it tomorrow.
Yeah. You got a long day. Why don't you go home and have awkward, terrible evening with your wife.
Yeah, so Janie E is then walking out, telling him all about her experience in the park with the loan sharks. When suddenly...
let me just say this, though. You think that you'd wait till you got in the car or home before you talk about how you paid off the criminals?
She's not a subtle person.
No, I know, but you don't talk about this like just in the lobby after being interviewed by some detectives. Not that the detectives are... You know what I mean? Like, you just shut up until you get into the car.
And not that he's listening, which he should realize by now.
Yeah, he's just a shell of a person.
Yeah.
So she's like, and that's the end of them. And, and there's going to be some insurance. So she's sort of planning it all out and talking about the money and stuff.
You know one thing I do like about her, though?
What?
Is that when she found out that they had the money, she did not have the inclination to go out and blow it all on herself.
Right.
She wanted to keep it. She wanted to put it into the family. She wanted to use it for Sonny Jones' education, to get him a new respectable car.
Yeah.
She's practical. So even though she is berating and constantly on his butt and is completely oblivious to reality around her, she does seem, at the core of her nagging self, to be a good person.
Agreed. However, I would take issue with the being oblivious to reality. I think she's responding to her reality, which is throwing a lot of curveballs at her in the form of a whole completely different husband.
That she's married to a hollow chocolate bunny. Is it about the bunnies? He's hollow.
Yeah, you're onto something there. Inside of them is just empty space.
Yes.
But it's not empty. All right, so just because...
And we know that it's not empty because of what's about to happen.
Right. Yes, well, as we see. So the assassin murder guy comes screaming. And
Ike the Spike is his name.
Ike the Spike?
Yes.
So he's upgraded from his Spike to...
well, it broke.
Oh, yeah, that's right, it broke. But
so now he's like the gun.
So, well, guns are basically, they shoot spikes. They shoot the tips of the spear without the spear part, because that's what the explosion inside the barrel does, and that forces the bullet forward, and boom, he goes for it. But immediately, everybody's terrified. All right, but old Cooper
leaps into action,
like all badass Matrix style.
This was the greatest moment ever because it shows Cooper is still in there for sure.
Yeah. Cooper just needs help coming out, and this forced Cooper out though, and so the gun does go off. And so he starts whacking him and hitting him.
And Janie E jumps into the mix and starts attacking him, which is great.
But he's holding his hand, and he's kind of got his arm down, and this guy's.
I think Janie's choking him.
Yep, she jumps in there,
and then the evolution of the arm pops up like a mini Groot.
Mini Groot, that's funny. Yeah. And see what I mean when I say melted cantaloupe?
Yeah.
Squeeze his hand off. So like he gets a little tip, he gets some electricity, he gets a little bump, and so I was expecting him to like tear his arm off and he'd have like a Jamie Lannister situation or something. But or I mean his hand, like at the wrist, I thought he was just gonna break it off with the gun. But they don't. He didn't quite do that because the guy, he's got horrible teeth, by the way. Just, not that that's it. Yeah. So this is. I'm trying to get to the point where. Oh, okay. So this is the shot. I'm glad I got the shot here. So you see that. There was something going on, but look at the gun here. This is a continuity error.
I don't think the prosthesis is on the gun quite yet, but his hand is clearly,
Yeah, they clearly did this to say, because I remember seeing nothing wrong with his hand, but it all happened very quickly. I wasn't sure. But, so we'll see more, though. Keep an eye out. We might come back to this gunshot, or the shot of the gun right there. So there he is.
And then he runs off.
He kind of goes right back into being dead-eyed, fish-eyed Willie here. Oh, Dougie, oh my God. So it's a little scary. It's a little traumatizing. I can imagine, I can see being a little fucked up in the head. So now they got to wait around and talk, and Dougie just took care of business. And these shots
and
were
she was
funny.
saying stuff like, and then Dougie said, "You wait right there, mister," or something like that. No, he didn't say that.
Yeah.
So this is important, though.
He smelled funny.
No, there's something to that.
Well, let me just remark on the way they film these like bystanders. So almost like this is like the news.
Yeah.
They just use the same camera. At least they changed the lighting a little bit, and they sort of held them at these like slightly askew angles to kind of feel a little like it's a little bit different. I appreciated that part of it. Like in movies and shows where they show like the security camera, but it's just obviously the same camera they film everything else with some like lines in the corners. It's like, what are you doing? Just go get a real camera.
Yeah.
Use a shitty camera. It would look more realistic if you had a crappy camera shot there, because everybody knows those are lower quality cameras than the thing you're using to film the rest of this beautiful movie with. It always frustrates me when they do that with shows. They did that with this one, but they at least went out of their way to like change the angle and mess with the lighting. So I'm just pointing that out. So anyway,
so what's the important implication of this? Is
Well,
that now Dougie Cooper is going to be on national television.
but this is the gun. Oh, hold on.
Right, before we even get to the gun, though.
But before the gun. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They're being interviewed. They're going to be on a national stage, which is going to increase the possibility of someone from Twin Peaks seeing him and recognizing him and saying, "Holy crap, there's Cooper."
Oh, what? But did they show press filming him? I mean, I know they did this whole camera angle thing.
I mean, it's obvious that he's being filmed.
Yeah.
I mean, go back to the first shot with Janie and Janie E and
Like
Cooper.
here?
Yeah.
What do you mean? So there's no but I'm saying they don't show.
There's a camera in that notepad.
I don't see press standing there. But you could be right. I think you're onto something.
I mean,
there.
I for these shots right here,
there's an implication there. I'm not saying.
And there's a light on her face, which seems like there's a news camera.
Yeah. I'm not saying you're wrong about the, because I just went on a whole thing about how it looks like they're being interviewed. But they don't ever show the.
No,
like
you're right. They don't.
Cameraman and a press person or a producer or something.
It's implied.
It is very much implied. But then they do this thing with this. This is a mask. You can easily do this with a layer of black matte on top of it with this editing talk. And you can easily mask that out with the feathering of the shape there. And you can motion animate masks and stuff. So indistinct. But this is the bloody stuff about Tara's handoff that now finally we see the skin of the assailant, we assume, completely like stuck to the gun handle. The hilts, is that what they call it?
Yeah, you can call it the grip.
But here it is. There's no. I think this is just continuity though, because if it's so stuck, it should be in the shot, right?
Right.
Got him.
So
I got him, James.
Theory time. Theory time.
All right. Yeah. Theory
Okay.
time.
The little girl says he smelled funny. We know that there is a continuing thing about people from the lodge smelling like burnt motor oil.
Okay.
Because that's the pool of viscous fluid that the people from the lodge emerged from. Now we know Ike the Spike was in a hotel room when he got the order to kill Dougie and Lorraine, so he doesn't necessarily live in the lodge, and there's no evidence that he comes from the lodge. But is it possible that he himself is a construct from the lodge created for a purpose of coming out and doing the bidding of Philip Jeffries or whoever else is pulling the puppet strings, and that the constitution of his construct is not fully formed to the point where you can squeeze his hand off, that his physical form is not fully solid
Because he's not just a regular person. He's some sort of
and
conjured
could it
being.
also be possible that he is just, and I don't want to say this is an insult to people who are of small stature, but maybe he was a clone of sorts of Major Garland Briggs, and they're going to test a clone that went wrong a little bit, and they're going to test the skin and find like a palm print or something that matches to Major Garland Briggs.
Right. Okay, so there could be something there. They put it in an evidence bag. Yeah.
We're definitely going to be coming back to that.
Okay. Good theory.
There's going to be something about his identity that's going to call everything into question.
Yeah. I think you might be correct. There's obviously this is physical evidence that they're going to do whatever they can.
And a normal person is not going to have the palm of their hand squeezed off and stuck to a gun by having pressure applied.
Generally not.
This typically does not happen to people who are human.
Although I do feel like you could in a moment of intensity, you could, with adrenaline and everything, you could easily like finger rip off someone's skin a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
you could grab someone's forearm skin so hard that you tear off some of their skin.
Right, but
even though skin's pretty tough,
but
it
Cooper
is
wasn't
leather,
doing that.
Basically, it's not. Yeah,
Cooper was pretty much just squeezing the gun,
but he was holding his hand and the gun.
Which might leave it would leave an impression on his palm. It might cut his palm,
Right
might
there.
bruise his palm, but it's not going to make his palm peel off on the gun.
Right, but that's what happened though.
Yeah, which makes me think this guy is not a typical person.
So he comes from some other.
I think he is a construct.
Construct of, pieced together part. All right. Well, okay, interesting. We'll see. All right, now we're back to the Great Northern.
Yes, the Great Northern
Hotel. But James wanted me to. We looked up some other screenshots that we're going to look at before we get into this next sequence here.
Okay.
So this is establishing shot of the waterfall outside that place.
Yep.
So should I go to the other folder, James?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so what are we looking at?
Okay, so this is Josie Packard. Season 1, Episode 1, original series.
So the pilot of the whole
The
thing.
first time we ever see her character, she's in an area which appears to be the backdrop of the Great Northern, and she's humming to herself.
Right.
Not much more to it than that.
Okay, but Josie
Packard.
Packard. All right. Very good. So then the next one is from episode
23, The Condemned Woman.
Episode 23 now.
This is Harry Truman.
Season 2,
yes.
Yeah.
This is Harry Truman, the brother of Frank Truman, who we know now from Season 3.
Yeah.
He was a big character in the original series, and he had sort of like a love interest with Josie Packard.
Frank Truman is Robert Forster, but the guy is the cop who's got the wife that yells about the black mold.
Yes.
I'm only saying that for people that are like me that are confused the entire time.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
So, moving along, there's a scene at the bend. There's a lot of drama that goes around with Josie Packard. Josie Packard shoots Cooper at one point, nearly kills him, travels around, murders, all sorts of bizarre events surrounding her. But this is the culmination of all of that, where she's in the room, she's admitting to doing horrible things, and she falls over dead mysteriously. No one shot her, no one hurt her or anything. She just dramatically falls down dead.
Yeah, she kind of just goes like, oh, and she just sort of collapses on the bed.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And then we get this bizarre scene where we see Bob appear yelling, "What happened to Josie? What happened to Josie?" Talking to Cooper.
So Cooper's in the room watching all this go down, or what?
Yeah, Cooper was there with Sheriff Truman.
Okay.
Who's holding the gun on her.
There's Bob. That's him.
Yeah, but this isn't really the point we want to make. Right. But then the man from another place appears, Michael J. Anderson.
Okay, so this has nothing to do...
He is the one who becomes the evolution of the arm. He is the arm.
Okay.
But he and Lynch had a huge falling out, so they replaced him with a tree.
With a tree, yeah. Which is, that makes sense. All right, so he's like, this is just too funny. Come on, man. This is what all my dreams are like. All right, so then...
I think that was the very reason why he resented Lynch, because he said, you just used me as an object of weirdness.
Yeah.
You laughed at me, you mocked me.
Yeah, what did you think when you were wearing a fucking red suit dancing on a bed? Come on.
Well...
I wear a red suit dancing on a bed, people think I'm crazy. I know. All right, so there's a gun. Now back to the thing.
Okay,
so this is all in sequence, though.
This is all in sequence. And so what happens is that while Harry Truman is holding the body of Josie Packard, it pans slowly over to the dresser next to the bed.
I just want to explain. I screwed up a little here, so just imagine the camera moving right, and there's like a nightstand next to the bed. The nightstand has a drawer with that.
Yeah.
Where she appears in the wood of the handle of the drawer. And I said, I could do that effect. This is easy. You just blend mode to different video.
Yeah, then it gets a little bit more...
Yeah, and then so she's just kind of looking around and just doing... I could do this with James. We should do one of these. It'd be funny. And then this is harder. I wouldn't be able to... I don't have the computer skill to do this kind of editing. But then it just cuts to like this 3D... I call it editing. That's how bad of skill I am at it. And it's sort of a face locked into the thing.
And you can hear like wood groaning as it moves around.
So is she getting stuck in there?
Yeah, so her spirit is being trapped within the wood of the Great Northern Hotel.
Okay.
So again, think about Ghostwood. The whole through line of this entire episode is like Jerry is in the woods. We have shots of the wood. We have references to the lumberjack in the police station, who we could presume is the husband of the log lady who died in a fire and whose spirit we presume was trapped in the ghost woods. We have a reference to Audrey, who was put into a coma because she was trying to protect the ghost woods from the Ghostwood Projects, which would have built a country club in its place. And now we're about to see something else that kind of is relevant.
Okay, so that's the wood stuff. So that's with this in mind, we're going to go back to the episode we just watched. All right, so back to the waterfall, and then into the Great Northern Hotel we go. This looks like the front desk.
Yep.
Camera moves around. We got is this an owl? It's a totem pole.
I mean, it definitely looks like the wings and everything. You could very easily interpret that.
It's probably a hawk or something like that. It's one of those cool birds. So yeah, so then they're just kind of camera moving around. And
so this is Benjamin Horne and his assistant Beverly, who was played by
Ashley Judd.
Ashley Judd,
my future wife.
Yep.
Look at her; she's amazing.
So they're kind of looking at each other, and they're saying like, "Where did you start first hearing this?" There's this audible tone, this humming that's happening in the room. And it's very similar to the sound that you hear whenever Coop has an interaction with the giant. And we know the giant is closely connected to the hotel because he appeared to Coop in the hotel in room 315 on numerous occasions.
Okay.
But I don't think it's the giant here. I think this is Josie.
Oh, okay. So the sound. So before we get to the theory, let's just set. They're looking around though. They go over here.
Yeah. Then the sound jumps.
I sort of enjoyed their interaction in this little. Like she, especially her. She's gorgeous, by the way. But she was sort of like. I just thought her acting was well done. Like they're kind of like, okay, let's go over there, and then like, nah. Sort of like when you hear a mosquito and you're not really sure where it's coming from. That's That's fine. But so they're wandering around the room. Basically, they're kind of like tracking the sound,
trying to pinpoint the location of where the hum is coming from,
which is difficult to do. And then what's he talking about here in the middle?
This is when the key to room 315 comes in the mail.
Right. Okay.
This is the key that Jade dropped into the mailbox after she found it in the car wash in the car that was dropped by Dougie, who dropped it and then ducked down and avoided the bullet in the head.
Yeah.
But this was the key to his room, and he said, this is really weird because we switched to key cards more than 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And this is the room he remembered was the room where Agent Cooper was shot, which is a heck of a memory from him.
Yes. Well, you're not going to forget an FBI agent getting shot in one of your rooms.
But not to jump away from the humming thing, is like the first time we saw Josie, she was in what presumed to be the hotel.
Yeah.
She was humming, and we know she was trapped in the wood as part of the ghost wood.
Yes.
So her spirit is ever present here, and now that events are starting to bubble back up to the surface, it's almost as though she's gaining strength and she's trying to, send a message.
So that you're saying, to repeat what people already know, is that you think the humming is Josie.
Yes, I think it's connected to her spirit in the wood of the hotel still.
Interesting. All right.
It's happening again. She's reviving.
So what's her interest in Cooper? Were they lovers? Did they?
Girlfriend? No. It was a long, complicated.
All right. I regret asking.
There's a lot to it.
Okay.
Okay. It even involves. She was the wife of Andrew Packard, who was the brother of Catherine Martell, who presumably faked her own death at some point and then re-emerged dressed as a very racist-looking Japanese businessman. It's absolutely bizarre. His name is like Mr. Tokoyama or something.
Okay.
But, yeah, we shouldn't even get into that.
All right, yeah. No, that's fine. It's racist Japanese businessman or not racist Japanese businessman. Racist-looking Japanese.
And it was so obvious it was her the whole time. And yet no one knew.
It's just funny. Yeah. It's just okay. All right. Okay, so they have this exchange where they're like almost a little flirtatious.
It was a little bit,
a little sexual tension. But he's such an old man; it's kind of gross.
He's like, call me Ben.
I can't even imagine me making out. I'm too old to make out. I can't even imagine this guy. Come on, I have a whole bit about that. Eventually, you got to switch to smooching, and then you can only peck on the cheek, and then you die, and then the last thing anybody does is kiss your face before they close the coffin lid.
He's a very rich man.
Yeah. Well, sure. Money does make you more attractive. That's why I am so rich in spirit. I'm horribly broke. It's embarrassing. So there she goes. Good night, Ben. And because he says, call me Ben. Don't call me Dr. Mr. whatever. My Mr. last name. She goes, okay, good night, Ben. And then she leaves. He's like, By the way, I would probably try to bang Ashley Judd. In fact, I do every day. I stand outside her house with a sign. No. Tone continues, and we don't know. And then the camera kind of goes over to this thing, which I'm sure there's some sort of significance. It's sort of a totem.
I think it's just referencing the wood.
The wood.
The ghost wood. Because it focuses in on the wood,
yeah, really
I think that reinforces the idea of ghost wood, spirits in the wood.
Something in the wood.
Josie Packard.
Yeah, I think you're onto something, man. James, man, you're hitting triples and home runs here, buddy. And grand slams. And my heart. Okay, so that's the end of that. Anything else you want to say about those two?
No, this was a huge moment, not just because of the humming, but because the key has been returned, so it starts making people think about Cooper again.
Yeah.
So this is a big moment.
Okay, so hopefully we'll get the end of Dougie, the shell Dougie, and we'll get back to fully functioning Cooper.
The fact that Bushnell wanted to talk to him the next day about digging deep into what he meant about the case files makes me think that Dougie is not going to be back ever again. Because he's going to reemerge as Cooper, and he wants to deal with that.
Well, I think we'll have at least one more Dougie/Cooper episode, and then after that it'll be just Cooper.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the wife will be like, oh my God, my husband can speak English, finally. All right, so then she goes home. Some lady, she's like leaving. She's like, how is he? What's going on here?
So this is Beverly, to be clear.
Yeah, Beverly on the left. Yep, thank you. We had kind of a rough day. So she's always talking about somebody who's sick, who's... what's the word I'm thinking of? Invalid? Invalid. Is that the right word?
No, not really.
I mean, no, that's not the right word.
It seems like he's been going through like some sort of cancer treatment, leukemia, chemotherapy, stuff like that.
Yeah, not infertile.
Well, he might be.
Yeah, well, yeah, probably. Does chemo make you infertile? If so, sign me up.
You're trying to say infantile?
Not infantile. I'm trying to. There's a word that means like you're in a hospital, you're fucked up.
Oh.
And you're like just people who have to care for you because you're so fucked up. There's some word in something in. I don't know.
Intensive care.
Yeah, no. But anyway.
Internment.
Right. Yeah.
So that comes a little bit later.
Internment camp. Yeah, so anyway, he's missing you. So is this her husband then? So she comes in.
Yeah, she says honey.
Yeah.
So I assume that it's the husband.
Okay. So I'm watching this and I'm thinking, oh, this must be the guy that the the detective or the sheriff was talking to at the beginning when he said, "Oh, but that's not him. It's not Harry."
No, this is not Harry.
Okay, so I was wrong about that. I just connected it because it seemed like that was talking to someone who was sick.
I mean, listen, I can see why you think that.
Yeah, especially when you don't have a struggle. I struggle to connect the names to people.
We find out that his name is Tom.
Tom. All right, so some things came up and I needed to do them, and they have a sort of.
It's almost as though he's resenting her being late because he sees his own time on the Earth as being very fleeting.
Probably, yeah.
So he's saying, how dare you put being with me secondary to your errands and work.
Yeah, so she kind of snaps and yells at him like, I want to go back. She puts him back in his place, like, like what we need to get us to survive this, and crying out loud, don't fuck this up, Tom. So she gets intense at him.
And again, I'm wondering, is this Tom character someone that I'm forgetting from season 1 and season 2? Is he a new character, or...
I don't know.
I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Does he have eyebrows?
I don't recognize him.
He has chest hair. See, if you lose your hair... Are they implying he was bald from cancer?
I mean, not necessarily.
You lose all your hair. You lose your eyebrows.
No.
Do you lose your eyelashes? I mean, their hair.
I don't know.
Your nose hair? That'd be nice. I'd love that. I got all these nose hairs.
Based on
I
how
think he makes your hair fall out everywhere.
Yeah, it seems like we're all going to find out one day or another.
We're all going to get nuclear irradiated at the whim of a madman because he gets upset because his Twitter wasn't fully working. Is that what you're trying to suggest, James?
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I'm fucking terrified too. All right, so crying out loud, do not fuck this up, Tom. And then anything that fill us in about the scene? Or
I mean, I think it's just setting something up right now. I don't quite know what's up with Beverly and Tom.
All right. Well, we'll just have to wait and see.
I think a lot more is going to be revealed later on. I mean, is she working at the Great Northern Hotel because she's got some sort of a plot where she's going to seduce Benjamin Horne for money?
Well, maybe.
And that she's plotting to do that with her husband, Tom, who is sick? Does she need the money from Horne to get treatment for her husband?
But then Cooper and other shit's going to show up and it's all going to get more complicated?
I assume so. I mean,
and she's such a high caliber actress.
Yeah, there's...
she might have a much bigger role.
Yeah, she can't simply just be the assistant to Benjamin Horne. There's got to be more meat in the bone for her.
Could be, yeah. But it is Twin Peaks. Maybe, you know, they have just random actors that are sort of known playing other roles too. So maybe she won't have a big
Maybe she's
role.
just there for her Twin Peaks. No,
I've been eating a lot of bad food lately. My Twin Peaks are starting to point at the ground. My fitness goal, I just want my nipples pointing forward. I want my nipples pointing towards the wall, not the floor. I think it's a pretty reasonable goal. Yeah, it's not bad. Right now they're pointing at the corner. So I'm in the middle point here, James.
You have one lazy nipple that's pointing the other way?
I have cross-eyed nipples. one of them is inwards. When I'm at the beach, people get confused. Like, whoa, what's he looking at? All right, so I love this scene. I love this scene. This was so moving. I just thought the cinematography. It did. It's I was bristling with excitement watching this. This Hodor is over here at the bar.
We know. Okay, I made that mistake the first time. This is not Hodor though. This is one of the Renaults. The Renaults have owned the Roadhouse for quite a while.
Okay, Hodor is at the bar back there. No, I know. You didn't. Well, we never said he was Hodor.
I legitimately thought it was Hodor.
Oh, you thought it was the actor?
I really did.
Oh, see,
but now I don't anymore because I got a close up on him this time.
Yeah, I never thought that either. I mean, yeah, I just like calling him Hodor.
Yeah,
I miss Hodor.
It's Jacques Renault was the predecessor to him in the original first 2 seasons.
Okay, so we'll see.
He was known to traffic girls and prostitution, to One-Eyed Jack and so forth.
Okay,
he was a bit of a creep.
But before we get to that, we've got some incredible cinema photography to enjoy here. Look at this. The camera never moves. I love the choice. It almost says something about life, the way you have one perspective. It never changes. You never see what's to the left, never see what's to the right, or the up or the down. It's only there in front of you. What's going on? A man holding a stick.
What is he sweeping,
things at the bottom? I think peanut shells is what would have been my guess.
Is that what people do at bars? They just throw peanuts all over the floor?
Well, some bars have a policy that they let you do that. Like, you ever been to a restaurant that's like, peanuts, go ahead, throw it on the floor, and it's just covered in peanut shells? Yeah, there's a place back in my hometown area that has a place like that.
Is it a barn?
No, they just let you do it because it's kind of fun. It's messy. It's not like the whole place is just, it sounds crazy, but it's like, yeah, just throw it on the floor.
Eventually, are you just like wading through peanut shells?
No, it's just like this.
It's like you lose your baby and it's like, she fell beneath the shells.
No, they just sweep it up.
With the baby?
Well, because peanuts, yeah, with the baby, yeah. Peanut shells they need to be clean no matter what. Like cracking peanuts open in the shell, like half of it's on the floor anyway, half of it's on the table. You can't contain it. My point is.
Then how about you ban peanuts from the bar?
Either that, or you just let them go because they're going to clean it up no matter what. No matter how clean you are with peanuts, you're going to have to clean up the mess around it a little bit. They're messy. So, all right.
I shell them all the time for my squirrel friends.
Have you ever had squirrel poop in your mouth?
That I have not.
Well,
I've had it all over me, but not in my mouth.
We are in LA. We can arrange for
I've
almost
had mini
anything.
squirrels. I love
squirrels.
squirrels.
You've had squirrels touch you?
I've raised like a dozen squirrels.
Really?
Yeah, I love
them. Are they
them.
cuddly?
Very.
Once they're do they sleep and you cuddle them in the nook of your elbow?
Well,
and
you could do that.
Baby. And you give them like little grapes. Do they like grapes?
I don't. Possums like grapes.
What do they eat? Squirrel food?
Peanuts are probably not really good for them. Yeah. But there are other things that we fed them.
What do you feed? What did you feed the squirrels?
When they're young, you bottle feed them.
Milk?
Yeah.
And then after a while, you switch to your nipple.
Yes.
Yeah. Just for you though. That's because there's no milk. You're a boy, obviously.
Sure.
Okay. So anyway, it keeps just I was like, wow, Martin Scorsese would be jealous of this film work here. Look at this guy. He just keeps sweeping. I just kept pressing the button. I was so taken in by this incredible mastery of the cinematic arts. I mean, a man just kept sweeping. And I loved it. I loved every single piece of this.
What do you think the DVD commentary is going to be?
Probably what I'm saying right now. Yeah,
I had to go to the bathroom, so I kept rolling.
I fell asleep while we were filming, and everybody's too terrified of me because I'm David fucking Lynch. That's why this scene goes on forever. And so I was actually kind of relieved when they finally did switch to something because he's like...
It's nice to know that if your episode's running too short, you can always extend it arbitrarily.
Yes, well, you and I are the masters of extending things arbitrarily. Me more than you. It's mostly my fault. But this is in a way like an hourglass. Like, it's going to take them this long to get rid of these grains of whatever. So anyway, I was
half expecting him to get finished, and then someone comes by and drops something on the floor, and he starts all over again.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh my god, there's so much left. He's got so much more to go. When is this going to end? Come on. So then the guy answered the phone, though. And, Roadhouse. And now we get his close-up.
Which clearly is not Hodor.
No, it never... It just says...
From a distance, it's Hodor.
Yeah, from a distance.
Up close, it's totally not Hodor.
But, yeah, I mean...
His Hodorness fades away the closer you get.
Calling this guy Hodor is totally on message. He looks like Hodor. He's a big white guy with a fat head and a graying brown, mostly. He's more white than Hodor.
Yeah. Okay. What do we learn about this character?
Wait, I just want to clarify. I'm talking about his hair. It's like this guy's more gray and white than Hodor is. Mm-hmm. But they're both older, big, giant white guys with big fat heads that look like Legos stacked up on top of each other.
So we know he's a Renault.
Yep.
We know that he is in the family business that owns the Roadhouse, and that he is still dealing in prostitution. We don't know who he's talking to, but he's saying, I sent two blondes. They were, whatever.
Yeah. They were young. They were like, yeah.
Yeah, but who did he send them to? We don't know yet. Who does he do business with? We don't know yet. And who are the two girls? We don't know either.
Yes.
I'm assuming one of the girls might be Becky.
Who's Becky?
Becky is the girlfriend of Steve, who is the daughter of, not Norma, but Shelley.
Okay.
Who works at the Double R Diner, the RR Diner.
Okay.
And I think that because she's blonde, she's about the same age as Laura Palmer, she's already started snorting cocaine, and that's the same exact mold that Laura Palmer felt.
All right. Was Laura Palmer taken advantage of by this guy?
Not by his brother, yes.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. That sucks.
If you watch Fire Walk with Me, it's Laura Palmer walking around shirtless most of the time, being oogled and groped by his brother.
Wow, sounds like my weekend.
Pretty disgusting.
Straight A students.
Yeah.
I mean, our guy's like, all right, I want a 15-year-old blonde. I want to make sure she's smart. I want an SAT above 1200. If that's even how they still score the SATs. I don't know. I'm probably so old.
They score them in emojis now.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's probably like, I want an SAT below 2 alligators, but not more than 3 aardvarks. All right, so, horrors, pure and simple. So this guy's kind of an evil guy. He does underage prostitution, which is pretty horrible. Sex trafficking. That's really, really bad.
Yep. Not much has changed in Twin Peaks for
that
family.
No, they go for it. I mean, and in a way, it's uncomfortable and hard to think about some of the stuff because it's very real in our world, especially. There's all kinds of people being brutalized and taken advantage of. But I do like when shows, although this is not the best example of it, but when they don't pretend like that stuff doesn't exist in our world. And by not the best example, I mean is this show takes place in its own reality, so it's all kind of off and weird. But anyway, there's that. And so So what, the whole thing here is that something went wrong with these two girls.
Yeah, it's kind of establishing that this family is still around. They're still doing prostitution. They're still running drugs. They're still nefarious and up to no good.
Yeah. All right, so cool. One last thing. What the fuck's up with this shit on his chin? What is this crap? He's got like this nasty skin, dried, brashy. It looks like the milk crust that forms on your milk carton lip. Like, what the fuck is that, James? Tell me. Do you see what I'm talking about?
I do, yeah. It's
did they add that, or is this actor like actually this gross? Because occasionally you'll see someone out in the world and they just have like flakes on their ears, and you're like, ugh, Jesus Christ, what the
flakes on their ears?
Like gross earwax or some shit. You know what I mean? Like you just see somebody with like a thing, and you're just like, how did you not see that before you left? Don't you feel shame like the rest of us? Go hide. Get out of here, you freak. That's what I do when I see somebody. No, I don't actually think. But, ugh. I mean, it's a good choice to make him look even grosser than he already does with his scary eyes. But, I don't know. All right, so. Sweeping. More sweeping. Guys making progress. And then that's that. So, prison time. Flashlight. He gets out. Look, boop. Boop. Boop.
So apparently the McCluskey conversation and the Mr. Strawberry episode, yes, that's right.
Okay.
So the conversation that he had with the warden, the threats that he had thrown at the warden worked because he's leaving fully dressed, ready to go at the discretion of the guard who's shining a flashlight on him.
Yeah, and so a couple guards walk him out. There was one guard in the doorway there too. They get him down the car, the beige car.
That's exactly what they wanted. The rental. We assume there's a gun in the compartment because he wanted a little friend in the compartment.
Little friend. Yeah. He should have asked for like a Diet Coke or something. Something to keep him up during the drive.
Fresca.
A Fresca, exactly. That's what I was thinking. So off they go. They leave the prison. The warden is like, oh. So this is bad.
I was hoping to see the warden like hugging the dog leg and crying, going, "Mr. Strawberry,"
petting the dog leg, or trying to get all four of them back and make reconstruct
and make an ottoman out of it.
Make it a Franken dog. Yeah, an ottoman. That's funny. All right. So, but that's it. Boom. The end. And...
No, that's not true.
Oh, it's not.
No.
Oh, fuck. Oh.
We have a shot of the woods in the dark. Which you passed.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Again, a reference to the Ghost Woods.
Yes.
Through line of the whole episode, I think.
Shot, yeah.
And then we're in the bar.
This is
the Double R Diner.
The Double R Diner, right.
And we think it's another scene because these episodes have always ended with a performance, musical performance.
Yes.
And we get this guy running in yelling, "Has anybody seen Bing?" And at first I was like, well, who the heck is Bing?
He's obviously a search engine enthusiast. Yeah.
So
has anybody seen Alta Vista?
Yeah. Have you seen Dogpile?
Has anybody seen Ask Jeeves?
Yeah.
You do one. Has anybody seen Netscape?
And then Jerry Horne walks and goes, Yahoo!
Yahoo!
Anyway.
Has anybody seen local BBS services?
Yes.
That's my impression of a modem.
Nice.
That's the sound of my life during the 90s. I've been on the internet so fucking long. It's
Me too, yep.
No wonder I'm horrible at it. All right, so there they go. He runs off. Nobody does anything.
Yep, we don't know who Bing is.
No idea what's up with Bing.
There's Norma.
All we know about Bing is nobody uses it, and if you ever see it, it's because it's probably a paid sponsorship by NBC.
Yeah, it's like when Jimmy Fallon was, he didn't want to say, "Did you Google that?" He was like, "Did you Bing that?"
Yes, but he said Google, then he
he switched to Bing.
He goes, "Did you Google? Did you Google? I mean, did you Bing that?" And you motherfucker, you said, "Did you corrected yourself? You're a comedian. At least just say Bing the next time. Don't stop Google." Okay, all right, fine. As if it's whatever. Okay, so there they go. And then we look up Bing. It's a character.
Riley Lynch, who is the son of David Lynch.
Yeah.
And who, I could be wrong about this, but I think during the ending of one of the episodes, he was one of the guys on stage performing in the musical number.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure some people probably know exactly who he is.
He also apparently works on the crew for producing the show.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure. He's got to be, yeah, no doubt. Great way to get a job in L.A. is to be born to David Lynch.
Yeah, so now we know the guy who I thought was Hodor is really Jean-Michel Renaud, played by Walter Olkiewicz.
Right.
But what I was looking
it's
for...
Walter Olkiewicz. I play Jean-Michel Renaud.
Yeah, I was really looking for finding out... I mean, it says younger man up there, Jesse Johnson. I assume that's the younger man who was in the room with Diane, possibly.
Yeah. Could have been. Yeah, that's probably it.
And then the person that I really wanted to identify, who I wasn't able to do so, was the guy who didn't show up for the 4:30 meeting with Andy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, is he Farmer? Is that... Because I saw one person with the credit just identified as farmer.
That guy right there.
He kind of looks like a farmer.
Yeah.
But is that really the extent of his importance, or do they just not want us to know his name? Because I see shovels there, I see farming equipment, I see fields.
Oh, we don't have it. Actually, do we have the entire thing?
If you go back to the other one, I think...
We have most of it there.
Okay, so we get Shelley. Yeah, farmer. Is that him?
It.
Can you Google his name real quick? Edward Dowling?
All right, let's do it. All right, so tell me the name of the guy.
Ed Dowling.
Ed Dowling. Mm-hmm. Actor. Wow. Twin Peaks. Images? That didn't do anything.
Put his whole name in there.
What was it?
He had a weird like middle name thing.
Edward Ted
Dowling.
Edward Ted Dowling. All right, Ted Dowling, IMDb. Grand Forest, Semi-Secret. Not a lot. He hasn't done much.
Can you just do an image search?
Yes.
Apparently, David Lynch is... yeah.
I mean, this is all random. I mean, this doesn't seem to narrow it down.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is that davidlynch.it? I don't know.
I mean, it could be. I don't know. There's Leo.
Oh, sorry. Messed it up. What's Leo?
Leo's the guy, the comatose guy who says, new shoes.
Right there?
Yeah.
Okay. Laura Dern. All right. Well, we should just do a channel where we just Google image search stuff.
We don't know.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's obviously more to it. I mean, there's some article about it. June 19th, 2017. Do you want to read this, James? What are we doing? Okay, everybody, you can look it up yourself. Let us know what you find out. Okay, so yeah, we don't know about the Dowling guy. It'll all make sense someday. So, did you like this episode?
I thought this was one of the most important episodes to date, actually.
Explain.
Well, we got a lot of progress. We found out that the key finally made it back to the Great Northern Hotel.
Yeah.
We found that Agent Cooper was still kind of sort of there when he karate chopped Ike the Spike.
Yes.
We found out the truth behind the pages that were in the in the stall.
Uh-huh.
We saw progression in that Evil Cooper is now out of prison. And we got confirmation from Diane that Evil Cooper is not actually Cooper.
Right.
So a lot of events actually happened that we felt needed to happen in order for us to move forward.
And Evil Cooper escaped.
We said that.
Oh, you said that?
Yes.
I wasn't listening. I wasn't listening at all. But yeah, a lot of progression.
Yep.
Yeah. I agree. The diary pages was important, like you said.
Yep.
So yeah, cool. I agree. I didn't hate this episode. I mean, the sweeping thing kind of drove me crazy, but it's also not unexpected.
My favorite part was when Albert, Diane, and Cole were in a room and you didn't know which one was Cole, but you knew Albert and Diane.
Well, because I thought I think. Yeah.
I know. I could have been talking about it.
I'm bad with names too. Like, I'm horrible with names in general, but this show it's like doing the challenge mode for name recognition, and because there's so many different people that are all kind of they all have this sort of generic quality to the names. They all just sound like made up names. Like, there's an art to making up names. It's really hard to make up a name that sounds authentic.
It's like the whole
and David Lynch is not good at that. It all sounds like soap opera, weird serialized drama bullshit names. That's so that in that way it makes them even harder to sort of like lock them down to someone.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like repetition in names, and you give the whole thing Richard and Linda, the 430 thing. We've already met. We know Richard Horne. We know Linda was referenced as being a person that the Fat Trout trailer park guy. His name was Carl. Mm-hmm. Was riding alongside another man in the truck to town because the other man had to pick up the mail for Linda in town.
Yeah.
Was that just no little red herring thrown out there that the name happened to be Linda? Now we know a Linda by association, and we know a Richard, even though we only know Richard as Richard from his name in the credits. It hasn't been spoken out loud yet.
I don't know.
Is that the Richard and Linda?
I have no idea.
Is the 430 meeting in the woods that never happened?
No. That one I would be shocked. I can't say completely definitively, but I just can't imagine that they would blow their wad on like a big like, oh, it's on for 4:30, and then it just turns out to be a meeting that doesn't happen between two not that important characters. I know Andy's an important
maybe
character.
4:30 was when something bad happened to the man in the house.
Okay, fair enough, because there was that moment with the door and the camera
and the
pushing
foreboding music and tone.
So maybe that's what the 4:30 talks about. Maybe that'll be a subject of something else. And you know, this show does a lot. His door was open on his car. The door was open. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, good. We did it. We got to the end of another one. Thanks for hanging in there, everybody. If you got to the end of this, wow, you are amazing. We hope that you're enjoying our view, or what do we call these? Subscribe.
Our waterboarding.
Our
audio waterboarding.
Our audio waterboarding. But, sorry, I don't know why that makes me laugh so much. But anyway, thanks for watching, and we love hearing from everybody in the comments. We can't always respond. We try to, but we don't. I want to respond to everybody, but also I know I just look like a crazy person, just writing back to every single person. Plus, it's emotionally difficult because sometimes you get insulted, and then I cry for several hours.
We do read every single one of them.
Yeah,
multiple times.
Well, I don't read them multiple times.
I print them out.
I like the fun. The ones that are insulting are
them.
funny, though. The ones that they are funny. We got to do something about those. I mean, like a video including.
I fully like early on the episode 1, 2, and 3. The insults like, what are you? Yeah, we know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like when we didn't know who Philip Jeffries was. Yeah, I get that.
Sure. Looking
back on it, it's like, yeah, I should have been ripped a new one for that one.
James, you never deserve any of it. All right, man? What this world needs more than anything, especially these days, is love, patience, forgiveness, and love and repetition. All right, everybody. So thanks for finding us. We appreciate your time. If you're already a fan, that seems so weird. I hate saying it. But if you've already kind of tuned into our stuff, well, we love you. If you're new and you can't quite decide if you like us or not, you probably will eventually say something about Trump that'll piss you off. Yep. I'm all over the place today, James. I can't make any sense. But anyway, like, subscribe, and join up with our Patreon, which I haven't finished. I have to work on the video for it. And activate it, because we're advertising a thing and it's not even a thing yet. So that's really stupid, because we're terrible at YouTube. I'm lumping you in with my terribleness thing, James. You're supposed to defend yourself, James, and say fuck you, Hank. Say fuck it. Pretend I'm FBI and pretend you're Laura Dern. Take your glasses off and go, Brontosauruses, oh my god, Brontosauruses! What? Direct quote from Jurassic Park. Good night, everybody.
That was one of the tornadoes, right?
Yes, yeah. That's called Toothnado. Where teeth were inside there was a movie about a woman's pussy that has teeth in it?
I've seen it.
Really?
Yeah.
Vagina?
Yep.
What's it called?
Teeth,
that's right. Yeah, it'd be funny to have a movie was called Vagina. That's a movie that's actually about teeth that have vagina in them.
Yes.
Fucking
Could
crazy.
just call it chompers.
Chompers, yes. All right, well, I'm hungry. See y'all later. Good night. Goodbye. Thank you very much. And Twin Peaks.